Time to pour on that oatmeal and pop out the prunes. It's time for the Geeky Geezers. Thank you, Rosefire.
I mean, if you're putting the two together, that might not be bad.
Who normally does the stuff like this? Is it Deep Pensac? I'm trying to see how Rosefire's getting up.
They're both getting in on the geezer thing, you know. Well, it's the shtick, man. I think it's good that we go with it.
It's the achievement.
Yeah, so
Matt and Newey was. Were you having a conversation earlier?
Yeah,
what's going on
here? You know how I am about.
Oh my goodness, this was going on for a whole. But Netter was first high.
I don't know anything about these games, and Matt and Newey came on and said he got some kind of platinum something or other with the Spider-Man. I'm like, well, I don't know what that means, and I know that Age of Boomer is going to give me some grief about it. But
I'm not going to give him grief. We're beyond that at this point. Trust me.
It sounds like you've been playing hard, and you deserve a congratulations. Then.
Congratulations. Oh, like I said, maybe he can give me his own opinion since he's played it.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's see here though. Last call. Let's see here. I love you too. Oh wait, that's personal. Okay. Matt and Newey, hi.
Welcome it up. It's not like it's private. It may be personal, but it's not private.
Yes, we've been married 31 years, and we still tell each other we love each other, and we get mushy.
So he knows it front ways and back ways, so I may have some questions for him in the chat. All right.
A grim-looking man with a beaky nose.
What?
I'm reading Rosefire's comment.
I don't know what's going on here. You're being all whispery.
I'm just,
She said, I asked AI to create a picture of an OC described as a grim-looking man with a beaky nose. It spit back a picture of a hummingbird.
Oh. See, because I misread that. I read it as I asked Al to create a picture, and I'm like, so Big Al wasn't paying attention when you asked him to create your picture.
And Deep Pensec, I am feeling a little bit better, but I'm still not quite right.
Yeah.
So you went to the doctor this weekend, though, right? Not that that's any.
I went to doctor last Saturday. She gave me antibiotics and stuff like that
this week.
So those are all done. Then I had some other tests done on my thyroid and carotid artery to make sure those weren't clogged. And then this Saturday, I'm going to have a scan done on my abdomen, make sure there's nothing wrong with my gallbladder.
Yeah.
There you go, Rosefire. Don't know if this is what you're looking for.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, we'll just be Six Flags man tonight. We're getting close to Halloween. Even though I don't think we have anything Halloween related to talk about on the stream. But if you want to hear Troy and I talk about lesbian vampires, go ahead and check out the link in the description of his channel. We did a whole thing Friday night on the history of the lesbian vampire.
And speaking of which, Age of Boomer, have we ever done a watch party of the hunger?
No.
We should. We really should.
Are there naked ladies in it?
Oh,
That's
yes.
That's why you want to do the watch party.
But it's not just, I mean, there's plenty of movies with naked chicks in it. It's not just that they're naked. It's just...
Okay, this is the thing that gets me. Babe, you're married. You can see naked anytime you want.
I know, but this is two girls and, you know, the whole lesbian thing, you know? Or we could just do a rewatch of Inferno, and that'll explain why.
Why do men in certain Cersei movies look like they're wearing miniskirts? You mean it's like that? Like when the hero is wearing like that Robin Hood top, but there are no pants on the bottom. I think Link had an outfit like that in the original Zelda game.
What it is it's because the top is what are they? It's a tabard. They're wearing a tabard, and when you cinch that off at the waist, it almost looks like a dress or a skirt. Yeah.
Yeah, and then eventually later on in the later Zelda games, it looks like he's wearing like white tights underneath, and maybe it covers more of his area, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And now he's just in a completely different outfit. He's wearing a blue shirt instead of the traditional like Robin Hood-esque outfit.
Now, if you're talking about the original Robin from Batman and Robin, I got nothing there. That's just
you put a man in a kilt.
Yeah, you can put a man in a kilt, but don't ask what's underneath it.
I remember a scene with Liam Neeson and Jessica Lange and Rob Roy involving kilts. But anyway, let's move on.
Yeah.
Hello, welcome to Deleted Scenes, and happy early Halloween to everyone. You know, I hope you have a good holiday this year. Eat some candy, not too much. Stay away from those Mary Janes.
Oh, I used to love. Well, wait a minute. Which kind of Mary Jane's we talking about?
What are you talking about? There's only one kind of Mary Jane.
The Mary Janes that you used to like, honey.
There's Mary Jane. There's
Uh-huh.
Vito Honey.
Okay.
But I called the old person candy.
I liked Mary Jane's because my grandmother liked Mary Jane's. We always had
there
them.
you go. Depression era candy that was cheap, no doubt. That's probably what they were.
I guess it was, but it was that I don't know what it is, like a honey caramel kind of thing. I liked it.
I like them all right now too. I got used to them as I got older. There were things I didn't like though. There was, what the heck was the one candy bar that was covered in chocolate but had almost like a marshmallowy or like taffy type middle? You know what I'm talking about? I didn't like those.
No, I don't know.
Was it Charleston Chew? Is that what they called it?
Oh, I like Charleston Chew. It's like a really firm like marshmallow into.
I don't like it. No, I didn't like those.
You're weird.
I still ate them anyway, but
Well, yeah, I didn't like them. I still ate them, but I didn't like
candy.
them.
You're gonna eat it, but yeah.
Exactly. Samuel Proctor said, "Do you guys plan on streaming on Halloween?" Well, Halloween's on Tuesday, so we don't normally stream on Tuesdays, unless what you're talking about is the new Twin Peaks stream.
Yes, we'll be on that.
Yeah, we'll be doing that, and a couple hours before that, Netter and I will be on Pacific 414 for his special Halloween stream. So yes.
Hello, lady. Welcome to the stream.
And Al says he likes Charleston Chew. Have you guys ever tried Charleston Chew frozen? My mom used to do that, and I actually kind of like it. It like shatters in your mouth. It's kind of nice.
That might be better.
Yeah, it's cool. It really is.
What's my favorite Halloween candy? I'm pretty basic. I love the Nestle's Crunch. That's a good one.
People would not. I would be. My favorite Halloween candies are the like Hawaiian pizza of likes. People say they like Hawaiian pizza and they get ostracized. I like all of those kinds of candy. So I like the candy corn. I like I do like the bit of honey and the Mary Janes.
So wait, did you like that coconut candy? It was pink, brown, and white.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because there wasn't a different flavor to those Neapolitans. It was just a coconut candy, and I like coconut.
And they were so.
Don't you know where coconuts
sweet.
come from? The Fiji Islands. Sorry, wrong holiday.
They were so overly sweet. I couldn't stand them.
I also liked that banana taffy.
No,
I love that banana taffy.
No, I hate
taffy.
Now the only banana taffy that they have now is a little too firm for me. It's the Laffy Taffy. It's okay, but there was this one that was kind of like a long thin Tootsie Roll shape, and it was softer, and I really really like that.
Can't go wrong with Nestle's Crunch sandwich. It be born between 2 tea biscuits and some peanut butter, because being an adult means you can take treats to the next level. That sounds like cooking too. That's a
brilliant idea. You should do like a little video about that. That would be great.
That sounds like cooking to me. This is more than 3 steps you're cooking.
Kind of, yeah. And actually, it sounds like the kind of thing you could just do it in the microwave. Well, you'd have to make the biscuits first, but then when the biscuits cool,
you just buy the tea biscuits.
Do you like Nico wafers?
I used to really like them.
Oh my God.
Nico wafers. Those are the ones that taste kind of chalky.
I don't like those at all.
Yeah, those were the ones that I'd eat them, but I didn't like them. So I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to really like them. Now, not so much. The flavors have changed.
Especially because I would forego those in favor of Smarties and Sweet Tarts. I like those too.
I like Sweet Tarts better. I thought they were better.
It took me a long time to kind of start liking Tootsie Rolls, though. I wasn't a big Tootsie Roll kind of guy. And it was in high school, I was reading about the origin of Tootsie Rolls. And I think, they were put into rations in World War I or World War II? I can't remember.
Because they wouldn't melt, right?
Because they wouldn't melt, and they were like a chocolate substitute. And then the soldiers would give them out to kids and whatnot. And I was like, that's pretty cool. So I gave Tootsie Rolls another try, and they weren't bad.
They're all right. Yeah, I can have them every so often.
I don't see them as a chocolate substitute, but
well, it's like if fudge bar is not a chocolate ice cream substitute either, but I'll still have a fudge bar every now and then.
I'm with you on that. Horizon Talker, hello, Pacelli's deleted scenes, and it just jumped. What are we talking about today outside of the slow self-destruction of one Jonathan Majors? We'll get to that one.
We'll get to that. I think I have that in the title, don't I?
The thing about food preferences is that unlike movies, there's a finite amount you can consume. So I have a food I like and others don't. More for me. Yeah, that's true. And what you really should be doing is going, I like this. I kind of don't like this. You don't eat both. You go, I'll eat the thing I like. And the thing I don't like as much, forget about it.
That's what happens at Halloween time. You buy the candy you like because you don't know if you're going to get any trick-or-treaters.
That's true.
It's interesting. I happen to like Almond Joys and Mounds, but I know some people hate those candy bars. And it's funny, when I was a child, I didn't like coconut, but I acquired the taste as I got older. It was weird.
I always liked coconut and Mounds. And here's the other thing, too. Mounds and Almond Joy, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. But that's not true. The only difference.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Almond Joy.
Well, it is. No, I agree with you. It's true.
One's dark chocolate, one's milk chocolate.
And Mounds has dark chocolate.
Exactly.
Which is why I didn't like Mounds, because at the time I did not like dark chocolate.
Yeah, you've kind of warmed up to dark chocolate a little bit more since then. But that was the preference for me. I kind of felt like I would have liked 4 different kinds. I would have liked a milk chocolate without nuts, a milk chocolate with nuts, and a dark chocolate with and without nuts. That would have been, they should have done that. In fact, because I don't know if they still do, but they used to come in 2-packs. You'd get 2 Almond Joys. You could have done one that was dark chocolate, one that was milk chocolate, or you could have done, one with nuts, one without. You could have done mix and match. You could have even had it so that you don't know what you're getting when you buy it. It's like candy roulette,
Rose Fire, I do have an Egyptian princess costume with awesome intense green eyebrows. May just wear that after the entire Cleopatra fiasco. It's interesting. I was a mummy in the 2nd grade. Did you know that? Had my mom do the bandages up, and anyway, that was a hard costume to make. You had to sew bandages together. It was very complicated.
Sorry, man. I don't know how you grew up, but men can't be mommies. They can't.
Okay,
I'll see myself out.
I'm actually wearing my skeleton pajamas right now.
Netter is wearing her skeleton jammies. Yes, she is. With skeleton socks, and if she wanted to, she could put on her skeleton gloves.
Actually, I'm wearing the socks you gave me with the kitties on there.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So they are Halloween themed. So that's cool.
Yeah, I got the makeup with the real mummy dust in it. It said genuine Egyptian mummy dust inside the makeup. That's what the box said.
Why? What? Like anyone could tell by looking at you that he's wearing real mummy dust.
It was really cool makeup because the idea was you would put it on your face and then it would solidify, but then it would crack as you moved your face.
Oh, clever! Kind of like a rigid collodion type of thing. Yeah, whatever it is, it contracts. Yeah, as it dehydrates. Yeah.
Here's part of the problem. I was obsessed with the Karloff Mummy movie that year, right in the 2nd grade when I was 8. And the trouble was I kept telling everybody I was going to be the mummy. And then one other kid in class decided to dress up as a mummy for Halloween. And his costume was cuter. It wasn't as scary. I think mine was better. But he won the contest for it. I was happy.
Screw him.
And everyone was like, well, you ripped off your idea. And it was a valuable lesson as a child. Don't give away your ideas.
Exactly. Good. See, you learned it. You learned the lesson rather than growing up blaming everyone for everything.
Yes.
You took it as this is the way we all grew up. We learn a lesson, we move on, we do better as we go forward. Yes. You take responsibility for what you can control.
Yes. I just put together, what's this?
The shadow.
That is a neat, I like the idea for that costume. I put together a costume with a shadow. The main part is a legit 1930s suit coat.
Nice.
It's going to be useful in the cold event for all. That is pretty cool. That's a cool idea.
Exactly.
For a costume.
And that's one of the things I love about like when Netter and I did the steampunk and the Victorian stuff. It's like I've got a lot of nice formal wear that I can wear anytime I want.
Yeah, he could be the Phantom. He could be anything.
Yeah.
I'd love it if they bring the Shadow back. Apparently, he's only come back in a James Patterson co-written novel.
Well, and the other thing too is you could bring him back, in what's it called? YouTube videos. You could do anything. You could do what is it when you got the streaming, not radio, but it's on the computer. It's the
podcast.
Yeah, those podcasty things. Right. This is called Geeky Geezers, folks. You got to expect this sometimes.
Yes. Okay. I podcasts helped me survive the 2010s. Okay.
Yeah. No, exactly. In fact, if you go,
especially on
guys,
long car rides.
If you guys go over to Tom Conkle's, the Real Deal with Tom Conkle here on YouTube, he and his troupe do these really great Flash Gordon like radio style dramas.
Cool.
But with like a humorous type bent to it. You should really check them out. It's really good stuff.
Anyway, we should talk about the good old days. Not old time radio. We should do old time radio one of these days.
Yeah, we really should.
Maybe that'll be next week. But this week, fortunately, it ties to unfortunately recent death in the news. You probably heard about it. But we're going to talk about must-see TV television show on Thursday nights in the late 90s, early aughts, and that would be Friends. Oh, that song. I'm sorry. That would play on the radio all the time.
Yep.
And I started to hate it after a while because it was on Friends, so the DJs would always play it on the radio.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't, I don't think it started out as the Friends theme. They just selected it as the Friends theme. Like, I'll Be There For You. Who did that song?
It was, I don't know. They were one-hit wonder.
Hold on. Alexa, who sang I'll Be There For You, the theme song to Friends?
From a journal of musicalthings.com.
Okay.
I'll Be There For You is best known as the theme song for the American sitcom Friends, recorded by American pop rock duo The Rembrandts.
The Rembrandts. That's who it was. Okay. There you go.
Thank you.
It is like talking to Lieutenant Commander Data on Star Trek,
All right. So Friends consisted of 6 friends that I believe, did they live in the same apartment building? Or they lived around the same area, right?
They lived in the same apartment building. In fact, their friends were across the hall from one another.
Yep, exactly. And there was a whole subplot about the one being rent controlled or whatever, so they couldn't let anyone know that grandma. Okay,
Monica, from Monica's apartment,
Monica Geller,
used to belong to her grandmother, and she inherited it, so it was rent controlled because you could only take over an apartment and keep it rent controlled if you're a relative. Her friend, Rachel, ended up moving in at one point.
Rachel, yes.
Rachel ran out on her wedding and just couldn't cope. So Monica was nice and took her in. And so the two of them were living together for a while. And throughout the period of time throughout Friends, you'd have Chandler would move in, Chandler would move out. I don't think Joey moved in. I think Ross was there for a little while, and then he moved out, and then he ended up in an apartment across the way, like totally across the courtyard.
Yeah.
But that apartment was Monica's, so if she ever left there, it would no longer be rent controlled. I don't know what the rent was like for the guys across the way, and I don't know if it was Chandler's first or Joey's first, but they were roommates there for like the longest time. And apparently Phoebe and Ross lived elsewhere.
Yes.
Correct.
So there was, so that was the big, Monica was a chef, correct? That was her, Joey was an actor.
Correct.
Chandler, what did he do?
He worked in business in an office. No real clue what it was he did. Talked about weenuses. It was an accounting thing. Okay,
yeah,
makes sense.
Ross was worked in a museum as I want to say an anthropologist,
paleontologist. Yeah, dinosaur bones, and I think he also taught sometimes too.
And Phoebe worked at the
Central Perk.
Yeah, Central
She
Park.
was also a
Not
massage
Diner,
therapist.
Central Park.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, wait.
She was a massage therapist. Sister
Maybe she
worked
didn't work
in
at Central Park.
as a diner.
Right, because the actress played a double role as twins.
Yes.
So she was also well, actually,
Ursula.
she started out. Yeah, Ursula
yes.
started out on Mad About You.
Yes.
And then when Friends started, that kind of a little bit of a crossover. So yeah, I don't think, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe that Friends was one of those sitcoms that was directly based on something that came from the UK, but there was a lot of correlation drawn between Friends and Coupling. So when they tried to do an American version of Coupling here in the States, I think they drew a lot of inspiration from Friends.
Right.
And there's just enough difference that you don't want it to be a clone of Friends. Coupling was something kind of different.
Mm-hmm.
And in other words, Jeff and Joey should not be, synonymous.
It was similar that you had the 620 somethings that sort of knew each other, right? So it had
the types of relationships they had were very different.
Yes.
The kind of humor they were going for was very different. And if you mix with the formula, it's not going to come out right. If you're trying to make rhubarb pie and you try to make it like a cherry pie, yeah, they're similar, but it's not going to come out right. Yeah.
So it was a funny show. I remember.
I loved it, honestly.
I remember a line where, like, I think Monica said, like, they were talking about love or something. She says, "Love is the best medicine," and then Chandler says, "Actually, laughter is the best medicine." it was kind of the way he said it, Matthew Perry, at that point, and it was kind of cutting. I mean, he's correct, but it was kind of a jerk thing to say at that moment.
It was, and he had that very dry sense of humor, and I kind of like that about the character.
Yes.
I liked Joe. I think Joey was probably the character I related to the most.
Joey was the funniest.
I liked Phoebe. She was my favorite, then Joey.
Yeah.
Phoebe and Joey were kind of the counterpoints to each other. I'm sorry.
They kind of were. Yeah, they were like the
two dumbheads.
The two dopes. Yeah.
I would also say the two more working class background people on the show.
Sure.
Less middle class.
In fact, you get the impression that Phoebe, she spent some time homeless, so she,
street Phoebe.
When you start really hearing some of the things she says about, living on the streets and things like that, it's like, there's some really dark shit back there, It's like, oh my gosh.
She had that song she sang. What was it? Smelly Cat?
Smelly cat, smelly cat. Why are you so smelly? Yeah.
It's funny. There was a local DJ that was doing a bit on, like, he was doing prank calls about a horribly smelly cab, like in New York City, and then they wanted to do a parody of the song "Smelly Cat" and call it "Smelly Cab," and they actually got the rights from, I guess the actress that played Phoebe, and basically said, "Okay, you have to pay a licensing fee, but you can do the parody song if you want."
Interesting. There you go. That's kind of funny. Yeah. Joey is that kind of stereotypical, New York Italian guy trying to be an actor, but, just getting by any way that he can. Kind of a horn dog. And that's, easy to relate to when you're a,
stereotypical Italian.
Older teenager, young 20-something watching the show,
Well, yeah, but all the guys on that show were trying to get with women. It was weird back in the 90s. That was a thing on TV. But I'm sorry.
I know, right? It's like, imagine that. Single people trying to hook up. I mean,
you had Ross who had, of course, there was a big thing because he had an ex-wife and he had a child ex-wife because the ex-wife ended up being a lesbian, which for that time was I guess a big deal. That I guess she was in denial that she was a lesbian, came out. So and she was played by the one who was on a sitcom called Herman's Head. I remember that from back in the day. But,
okay.
And then the world's worst girlfriend, Chandler.
Oh gosh, yeah. What was her name? It was oh gosh, what was Chandler? Yeah, she had that.
Stand her.
I think she was channeling Fran Drescher with that role. Oh gosh, what was her name?
It's like
someone in the chat's gonna get it.
Yeah, it's like her name was on the tip of my tongue before I said
Janice. Yes,
yeah, Jan.
Big
Janice.
Al got it first,
Janice.
but as usual, Big Al in deleted scenes put it out at almost exactly the same time. Janice. That's
oh
right.
my gosh.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, exactly.
And,
I hated her.
Yeah.
And Monica always seemed kind of full of herself, like she's better than everyone else.
But like, you get the impression that that was directly because of a great deal of insecurity she had.
Yeah.
She
had been overweight and then she lost a bunch of weight.
And that's the irony too, right? She was overweight and she becomes a chef, right?
Now, the creepy plot line that they had going was when Tom Selleck was her
I
boyfriend.
was just about to say
bring
this
that up.
guy's old enough to be her dad.
Yeah, yeah.
That was just so freaking creepy.
Is that wrong?
I mean, it's not like she was like 18 or younger. She was, what? She was like 30, wasn't she? Or upper 20s.
Freaking
sure.
creepy. He was too old for her.
Anyway, and then there was another funny episode where they're like, look, I met a couple of doctors where they're going to do a double date with them. And I think it was Phoebe and Rachel or Phoebe and Monica. And then the two doctors
from ER.
Two doctors, George Clooney and Noah Wiley. And I thought that was funny that they were guest starring from ER.
Yeah.
They showed up on Friends. That was funny.
I was never clear if they were actually playing the characters from ER.
They didn't specifically say, but I got the inference that yes, they were. I mean, it was close enough.
Well, I'm sure they
same channel, same night they were on. ER would always air at 10 on the 10 p.m. slot.
The problem with that, though, is they didn't want. I would imagine they didn't want to be too firm about it because
they were too firm, but they were close enough. There was like a wink in the nod to the audience.
Exactly, because the fact is that their characters had their own dating situations, and technically from the canon of ER, it wouldn't have made a lot of sense. But
okay, do y'all remember the episode where the girls were sitting on the balcony? They're supposed to be drunk, and Rachel would try to put a pillow behind her back, and she dropped it and went off the balcony. That was not planned.
Oh, okay.
The fact that they had the guy return it to her, they just worked that in as kind of a funny.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Because when she put the pillow back and then when she leaned back and it fell, that reaction was genuine. Oh. That was not supposed to happen. It was kind of like, uh-oh.
That is cool. I didn't know about that. That's really interesting. Also, I don't use it very often because I don't drink cinnamon whiskey very often. But when I drink Fireball, I do use the clips from that one episode of Friends where they were playing the game Fireball, which is literally lighting a ball on fire and playing catch with it. Or at least that's what's implied. I don't think they fully explain how the game is played, but they almost burned down their apartment doing it.
Sounds like they had fun, though.
The cow in the meadow goes moo. The farmer hits him in the head and grinds him up, and that's how we get hamburger. Now chickens. Yeah. That's pretty much true. That's pretty much true.
And of course, there was always the Ross and Rachel drama, right? We were always waiting for Ross and Rachel to get together. That was always the big thing on that show.
Right. And it was the
Jennifer Aniston and David.
And it was the rolling joke that, when one was ready to date the other, the other one was.
And what was heartbreaking is there Ross is getting married to Emily.
Yeah.
And says Rachel's name.
Yeah.
If I was Emily, she was absolutely gutted. It's like, you're saying another woman's name at the altar, marrying me.
Yeah, exactly.
F you.
Exactly. Well, it should certainly make you go, maybe this isn't the way we should go with that.
That was the season finale when he said that, and then suddenly he was like, uh-oh, it was this whole thing, and then that was the season finale, and it was left on a cliffhanger, kind of like what happens after that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that was the first time that Monica and Chandler hooked up.
Yeah, they got together.
And they were trying to say, it's just like friends with benefits kind of thing, but it was very clear from early on that was not the case, and they both had to kind of deal with it.
Yeah, they
You know?
liked each other. This
Yeah, and then ended up, and these are the kinds of natural progressions of relationships that people have. Not everybody, but definitely some. And
see, I always figured Joey and Phoebe could have gotten together, but I guess that didn't happen. But I don't know if it did. I don't stick around.
oh
for
God,
longer
how
season.
stupid would their kids have been? God, I don't know, man. I just don't know. It's just, but I'm trying to remember. Oh, and of course, we didn't even mention the fact Chandler and what's her name? Monica. They were brother and sister. Which was
Ross and Monica.
Who
were
did
brother
I
and
say?
Sister. You said Chandler.
Yeah, not Chandler. Yeah, that would have been
It's
really
like,
weird. That would have been really weird.
That might they might do that on a
Ross
sitcom now, but no, I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah, and that's a whole different show, right? But they played that whole, because that's kind of where some of the history comes from. Rachel had been friends with Monica, and Ross had a crush on Rachel for years. And that's why Rachel is now roommates with Monica, and that's why they cross paths again. So there's a few flashback type episodes and so forth, and yeah. So,
and then there was the episode of Rachel showed up in the Princess Leia slave outfit. Remember that?
Okay, I love that because she shows up in the Princess Leia slave outfit, and it's very self-referential, right? Because she's in the outfit, but she's got the hairstyle from A New Hope, right? And she's like, I got the wrong hair, didn't I? And that's not why he's looking at her weird. Somebody had said something earlier on, and when he's looking at her, he's not seeing her face. He's channeling differently, and it's like ruining the great opportunity he was having here.
But that was Friends.
That was Friends back when we could enjoy Star Wars.
It was Friends back when you could watch sitcoms and not now. Apparently, I don't know what generation was flipping out over Friends. They were finding it's shocking. It's shocking about this, and I'm thinking. It's
a show that ran its course and is no longer on air. Nothing is making you watch it, you dumbass.
Anyway, your ha 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 was perfect for the thumbnail, Aged Boomer. Oh, thank you. Oh no, he stares into your soul. The Six Flags man. I know I have a Six Flags man on my thing. I live in Florida. I mean, we got actual theme parks down here. I'm sorry, I'll shut up.
And a lot of old people, too.
And a lot of very hot, miserable weather.
Yeah.
We'll be in November soon. Hopefully the cool air will finally come down here. Oh, anyway.
And you got a lot of Florida mans down there.
Yes. That should be a sitcom, Florida Man.
It would be, they'd screw it up, but it would be such a good thing, just a bunch of different people doing stupid things. It could be like Jackass, except, a sitcom.
Well, I was telling Troy that I had read a news article that a Florida man bashed this woman's head into like a concrete pillar or something because she woke him up while she was walking through the parking lot to go to the grocery store.
I mean, I understand getting a little grumpy, but yeah, bashing somebody's head in that might be taking it a bit far. Welcome, Joshua V. Hello and good to see you.
Vagrancy laws, I'm just saying. Anyway.
Well, I mean, right.
Let's go to, of course, the first death of the night. We got 3. They say they come in 3s. We have 3 tonight. This is rather 7. Speaking of 90s sitcom, Sabrina, the Teenage Witch. For the first time, I'm amazed how strict Sabrina's aunts are. She has to fix her own problems. Yes. Well, that was, again, a different era. Melissa Joan Hart, I remember that.
Yeah.
There was a talking cat on that show.
Yes, there was.
And then she ends up going to college later on, and she meets her roommate is Salmon Moonfry from Punky Brewster, which I thought was kind of funny.
I know, right?
But yeah, Matthew Perry fought for his life after his heart stopped beating at 49, went to go for weeks. Yeah, well, Matthew Perry passed away recently. So yeah, let's get to this.
And that kind of surprised me. Not only, was it a surprise that he had been in a coma for weeks, but the fact that he died, it seemed like so suddenly. I'm like, oh, he's been in a coma for weeks.
Yeah.
We just hadn't heard about it.
Seriously?
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to read the article.
Yeah, the news of actor Matthew Perry's sudden death has left his fans heartbroken across the globe. Friends actor was found unresponsive in a hot tub at his Los Angeles residence on Saturday, as per LA Times. While the loss of Matthew was irreplaceable, did you know he had almost got a second life at 49?
Yep.
Matthew Perry on colon burst. The actor got a second chance in life after he underwent a colon surgery. In his memoir, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing, that released in 2022. I remember when that book came out. He revealed that he was fighting for his life after his colon burst due to Oxycontin use.
Yep.
He said his heart stopped working during the surgery. He had a 2% chance to live. People quoted Matthew as saying, "The doctors told my family that I had 2% chance to live. That's the time I really came close to my life ending." It also said that the actor spent 2 weeks in a coma and had a colostomy bag for about a year. The same report also mentioned that Matthew's heart had stopped beating for 5 minutes during a surgery following colon burst. It happened as doctors gave him propofol. It wasn't a heart attack. I didn't flatline, but nothing had been beating, he said. Besides this, he also struggled with alcohol addiction and more. He talked about it in his memoir and wrote that he started drinking at age 14. Acting was another one of my drugs, he wrote and added. And it didn't do the damage that alcohol was already starting to do. In fact, it was getting harder and harder to wake up not after a night of drinking. Meanwhile, social media is filled with heartfelt tributes for Matthew Perry from his fans, colleagues, and friends. The official X account of Friends tweeted, "We are devastated to learn of Matthew Perry's passing. He was a true gift to us all. Our heart goes out to his family, loved ones, and all of his fans." It's interesting. I remember before Friends came on, Matthew Perry had been on TV a lot before then, but he was always like a semi-recurring character on other sitcoms. Like I remember on Growing Pains, he played Carol's boyfriend. And then I think he got drunk one episode and got into a car accident. And then he survived, but then I guess he died on the show. And Mike had to tell Carol that your boyfriend's dead. And it was this. And then I think on what was the one about the coach who had like the 7 kids or 8 kids or something? It was like a spinoff from Growing Pains. He ended up on that. He was dating the eldest daughter on that. He was a. I remember he was like the co-star, like lead on another sitcom that didn't make it. And then finally ended up on Friends. But I saw him on sitcoms all the time before he finally landed on Friends. So that was his big hit. But like it's one of these things where, you know, if you're an actor and you keep having failure after failure, if you keep
just
going,
the 10 of us,
just 10 of us. Yeah, he was the boyfriend on that as well. Yeah, I remember that. But yeah. And how old was he when he passed on
54.
this time? 54. That's too young. That's too young. I'm telling you.
And they're going to focus on his drug use. They're going to focus on, you know, the other health problems that he's had, because they don't want you to possibly think it might be anything other than, you know, a pre-existing condition.
Okay, the coma was in 2019. It wasn't just recently.
Oh,
that's why I was like, what the heck are you talking about?
I misunderstood.
He drowned in his hot tub.
Gotcha.
Well, perhaps someone with a pre-existing condition shouldn't have been taking treatments for something else.
And supposedly, he was in the hot tub after playing a 2-hour game of pickleball, whatever pickleball is.
Pickleball is basically like ping pong on a tennis court. Or no, it's like racquetball.
Okay, because I hear pickleball and I get a totally different imagery.
Yeah.
It's like, is that what they're calling sex these days?
Yeah, well, yeah. Either way. It's not hide the pickle, it's pickleball. It's different. But
yeah, that's a different game.
Yes, exactly.
The family show. Come on. Speaking of family items, we have another death. Shaft. Richard Roundtree. Shaft star Richard Roundtree. Dead.
Yeah, he was a bad mama.
Shut your mouth.
I'm talking about Shaft.
Yes. Yeah. Goodbye to Shaft, Hollywood's first bad black man. Richard Roundtree.
Yeah.
So let's go into this. Richard Roundtree was born in New Rochelle, a bedroom suburb of New York City, in July 1942. His hometown was later made famous as the residence of the fictional Rob and Laura Petrie, and then on the 1960 sitcom The Dick Van Dyke Show. His sports talents earned him an athletic scholarship to the University of Southern Illinois, where Dick Gregory had been a track star before him, and Walt Frazier, a basketball standout right after Roundtree, dropped out to focus on modeling. In 1967, Roundtree leveraged his modeling success by joining the theater group, the Negro Ensemble. Yeah. His first role was as controversial 1910s heavyweight champ Jack Johnson in The Great White Hope, the lead later made famous on stage and screen by James Earl Jones. The acting bug stuck. He starred in the ensemble's 1969 New York City production of the Milton play, The Mau Mau Room. Maybe you're familiar with him. You're very into theater. Maybe I don't know if you knew about his theater chops. Okay, yeah. As the 1970s dawn, a new wave of black film was born on July 10th, 1969, a day after Roundtree's 27th birthday. The film Putney Swope premiered, written and directed by Robert Downey Sr. Putney Swope, which satirizes the advertising industry, is widely credited as the first blaxploitation film. Its tagline was "Up Madison Avenue," with its poster art petitioning a woman model as a middle finger directed at the mad, mad world. On March 31st, 1971, Melvin Van Peebles' Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song debuted. By this time, famed black photographer Gordon Parks Jr. had optioned the screen rights to a novel named Shaft by Ernest Tidyman. Tidyman and his screenwriting partner John D.F. Black originally wrote Shaft for a white male lead. Parks cast Roundtree as the lead, and the picture was released on June 25th, 1971, 3 months after Van Peebles' breakthrough. Yeah, and Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song, if you take film history class, it's a very important movie. I think it's the first independently produced and directed movie by a black director. And there is a wonderful movie about the making of that movie called Badass. Any of you are interested in filmmaking or learning how movies are made, watch Badass. It's probably the best movie ever made about the making of a movie. But anyway, let's move on. Set to a revolutionary, and then this back to Shaft, set to a revolutionary, eventually Academy Award-winning jazzy soul soundtrack by Isaac Hayes Jr. Shaft set the tone for 1970s black-themed action movies, as white males had done for decades through roles played by actors like Humphrey Bogart, Sean Connery, Frank Sinatra, and Paul Newman. Roundtree played Shaft as a no-nonsense type who skirted the conventions of his profession. Roundtree rocked a signature black leather jacket over a black turtleneck, and unlike his clean-shaven Duke days, a macho mustache, manhood personified with a very black twist. Where male leads such as Poitier and his contemporary Harry Belafonte assumed relatively tame relationships with their female counterparts, Roundtree Shaft leaned into the sexual revolution of the decade. Free of the restrictions of Poitier's heyday, Roundtree swore on screen and, in the terminology of the era, bedded beautiful ladies. Brothers wanted to be like him, sisters wanted to be liked by him. The former model lent depth to a role that may have come off as comic book or superficial in the wrong hands. Roundtree's flashing smile, well-timed wit, and believable bravado layered into unavoidable screen sex symbolism.
If you pause there for just a second, I read a very interesting commentary on the 70s, the sexual revolution, and racial issues of the day. Now, this is a historical context kind of thing that's really important to understand. It won't make a lot of sense to younger people that are dealing with, the modern woke stuff and all this kind of stuff. This was all different, emerging feminism, racial relations, things like that in the 70s. And let's face it, I mean, I think that although the modern era has grown out of a lot of racial things, and I think there are race baiters trying to convince you otherwise, back in the 70s, there was a good deal of racism, and it really was an issue that people needed to deal with. And we also, and having that running into the sexual liberation of women and the pill and all kinds of feminism related issues, there was a lot of racial tension around the whole idea of people of different races mixing, right? And it was this portrayal of the black man as a sexual person, just like any other male character could be, also necessitating women showing their sexuality in a feminist era. There was a very interesting dynamic there, and it stirred a lot of things up. Maybe in a good way for some, but not everybody necessarily saw it that way.
fine, but then they don't have to see the movie, right?
No. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No, you're absolutely right.
It wasn't made for them.
Well, that's a good point. That is an excellent.
Well, let's not go there. But the point is that I know Shaft is a classic. I've been meaning to watch it. I bought the Criterion edition on Blu-ray that came out a couple years back. It came with the Shaft, and I think the sequel was Shaft Big Score, and it was a set, and I was going to watch it, and then a hurricane hit me. And the Blu-ray survived, but I still haven't gotten around to watching it yet, but it was on my docket. I got that, and I got The Girl Can't Help It. Do you know that 50s movie I'm talking about? I think that was one of the Criterions I got.
Sometimes I forget the name. When we're talking about a movie from the 70s, sometimes I've seen it, and then I forget. Right. You know, and if you name it by title, but then if you told me a little bit about it, I'll go, oh, yeah, I think I did see that. But no, he had a huge impact on cinema, on racial relationships, absolutely all of those things. And it's the kind of thing where it's unfortunate that probably a lot of younger people don't even know who Shaft is, except the remake with Samuel L. Jackson. You know?
There was a remake, and then there was a follow-up done, and I didn't see the follow-up, but I think the follow-up had like 3 different generations of Shaft, and I think Roundtree was in the next one.
Oh, cool,
and so was Samuel L. Jackson, and I think someone else, and I think too there was commentary on like the nonsense of modern political correctness, and they got into trouble because I think they were complaining about some of the modern political correct nonsense.
Well, it would probably help to have the background on the original Shaft.
So watch the original Shaft and maybe watch the later ones if they're worth seeing. But yeah, I don't know. It's just it's sad we're losing a lot of the greats, and but they still have their movies that we can enjoy. So
absolutely,
definitely check it out.
Before we go to the next one, I did want to. There's a side conversation going on. Yeah, I don't know if Netter was here when I watched it or not, but the video that Retro Blasting did about Hasbro has a giant problem. Yes. Did see it. He does hit it out of the park again. I would encourage anyone to go check that out. But more than that, check out his previous video. It's a 4-hour deep dive on Indiana Jones 5 and the Dial of Dysentery.
And it is in sections, so you don't have to watch it all at once.
You don't have to watch it all at once. Go watch chapter 1.
Chapter 2.
Go do something else. Watch chapter 2 the next day. That video deserves far more views than it has gotten. I would personally appreciate it if you check it out. But yeah,
you can either watch his video on it, or you have to watch Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. You can do one or the other.
I will. I have said this before too. Retro Blasting's video, yes, it's longer than the movie itself, but it is also far more entertaining than the movie. Yes. You will probably enjoy it. So go check it out, and let me know. Come back here and let us know if you really did like it or not. And make sure that Kathleen Kennedy isn't hiding under the bed tonight. That's a whole other horror story.
That's the South Park. I did watch that this week, actually, the special. It was on Paramount Plus. And it's not only that, but it's also about how no one knows how to do things anymore, and the handymen are becoming millionaires while the highly educated people are having no money because they're having to pay the handyman to fix their oven doors and
sounds like dirty jobs. They've been talking about that for a long time.
Yeah.
But
anyway, we have one more. I was going to kick Netter out, but maybe she wants to stick around for this one. Maybe she remembers Night Court. So let's go do this one. All right.
Yeah. God, I loved this show. I really, really did.
Richard Mall, who played Bull the bailiff on Night Court, dies at age 80. Actor Richard Mall died Thursday at his home in Big Bear Lake, California. He was 80. The deep voice 6'8" actor was best known for the role of Bailiff Bull Shannon in Night Court, co-starring Harry Anderson and John Larroquette from 1984 to 1992. Mall was nominated for a Saturn Award for his 1985 horror movie House.
Yep.
Yes, remember House?
Yep.
Wake up, we got a war to lose. Or I don't know if he's the one who said that line, or if it was somebody else. Remember that? Because it was the Vietnam War flashbacks that were a little dubious in their authenticity in that movie.
Yeah, it was.
I'm like, this is a set. But it was funny.
Yeah.
That lent to the charm of it, I think, though. He voiced the role of Harvey Dent, Two-Face, on The Adventures of Batman and Robin. That's That's Batman the Animated Series and its subsequent follow. That was another title for. Yeah, he kind of like Kevin Conroy. He had to do two voices. There was the voice he did when he was Harvey Dent, and then when he got turned to Two-Face, his voice changed.
Yeah,
and it was very gravelly. And I keep thinking, I don't think they used effects for that. I think he just managed to do this really creepy, growling voice.
Well, and you kind of get a prelude to it when you watch House, right? Because he plays in the flashbacks. He's Richard Mole, right? And then later on, he's like a zombie, or is he a zombie ghost? I don't know.
He's a ghost.
But in the visage of this kind of zombie, like
an undead zombie.
Yeah, and he's got he does something different with his voice there. So yeah, I don't know how extensive his voice acting was, but he had a talent. I hope he did got some good use out of it. He played Zuza in A Sword and the Sorcerer.
That's right.
Thank you, David. Yeah.
He was a Scorpion on Spider-Man the Animated Series. He also had parts on The Flintstones, Jingle All the Way, Casper Meets Wendy, and Scary Movie 2. In Jingle All the Way, he was playing like the Ming the Merciless stand-in type role.
Yeah.
The guy in there. He had a recurring role on the sitcom Getting By, starring Cindy Williams, and voiced the bodyguard Mighty Max. Mole went on to appear in the 1999 satire But I'm a Cheerleader with Natasha Lyonne, in which he played a gay man who shepherded teenagers sent to a re-education camp by parents who suspected they were homosexual. His other television appearances included Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Seventh Heaven, and Smallville. He was on Seventh Heaven? Who did he play on Seventh Heaven?
I don't know. It was probably just a one-time role.
Yeah,
or
one-off or something.
Yeah.
After appearing in the horror movie Nightmare Man in 2006, he starred opposite Thomas Kincaid's Christmas Cottage, opposite Peter O'Toole, Marcia Gay Harden, and Ed Asner, and later appeared in Cold Case and Anger Management. He also appeared in made-for-television films, including No Place Like Home and The Headless Horseman. He was also in the first episode of the Highlander TV show. I think he was the villain.
Oh, okay.
In that premiere of that.
Yeah.
He
the reason that his Night Court appearance is so well known is first off, it ran for quite a while, and he played that role for a long time. There were at any given time 2 bailiffs, and he was the playthrough one, because the first 2 were elder women who the actresses ended up passing away before they brought in. I don't remember the actress's name, but the one that played Roz.
Oh yeah.
And it was seeing that dynamic of Richard Mole's character playing off of each one of those 2 brought a lot of heart to the character, because he was clearly broken up when he lost his friends, right? And he had a real hard time, clicking with Ross at first. And she had to soften up a little bit towards him and have a little compassion for his mourning his friends, But you get the impression that he was a little slow on the uptake, kind of. But and he was also the big tough guy, because he was the security guy, right? But you kind of get the impression that was that gentle giant heart of gold type of thing. These characters you knew what they were going for with these characters, but they had way more dimension than initially appeared.
The one episode where he invited everyone over to his apartment, where he made furniture out of cement.
Yeah, exactly. Which actually, I didn't realize it at the time, but it might have been a send up to, was it Edison or somebody who thought that cement was so good that one day all houses would be made completely out of cement, including the furniture, and it would be earthquake proof and bomb proof and everything. And no. Although nowadays with them 3D printing buildings with concrete, who knows? Maybe.
I'm thinking about that.
I think in Electric Dreams, the guy came up with the concept of a house is being built kind of like puzzle pieces, so they would flex when there's an earthquake.
Which is very interesting, because real engineers have been doing some stuff with that. That's
Well, they
interesting.
should,
But yeah,
they should make houses that can inflate when the waters come. Anyway,
well, Baba Yaga had hers up on stilts for a reason, right? But yeah, Richard Mole, great, I think underrated character actor.
yeah.
If you don't know him, check out some of his stuff. Check out that movie House. That's a great one for Halloween too. So,
it is. It's a really
Richard Mole and William Catt, the greatest American hero.
Yes. Yeah. And what's his name? Played Norm on Cheers.
Oh, George Wendt. Yeah.
George Wendt's in it too. It's very funny. It's a very fun 80s horror movie. Like I think I was telling Troy the other night, it's the it's the movie you watch as a child that's R-rated, but even though it's R-rated, it was made for you to made for kids to sneak and watch.
Yeah,
it has like a child sensibility of this is the movie I'm not supposed to watch, but it's not really that bad.
Right. It is scary. It's got some adult themes, but it's got some adult things in it. I compare it to
Gremlins, Ghostbusters, something like that along those lines.
Exactly. Those kinds of movies in the 80s that were scary, but a little bit funny too,
I remember when, doesn't he have like the hot neighbor that's running about, and she says, and I don't know if she asks, "Are you busy tonight?" I think she says, "Oh, well, no," and then like says, "Oh, good, you can watch my kid while I'm going out."
Yeah, it's like, really?
And then of course there's like a severed hand in the house running about, and I don't know. It was funny.
It does have that Addams Family kind of shtick to it, and it actually becomes like a running gag.
Okay, I'm surprised Warner Brothers hasn't made a comeback with their stores, especially now since Disney stores have been closing. Well, Warner Brothers is having a bit of an identity crisis.
That's for sure.
And I think they've been having an identity crisis for the past 5 years. But anyway, what do I know? Anyway,
but speaking of Disney,
yeah, let's move on. I'm going to let you go, Netter, but thank you for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
You're awesome.
All right, we'll catch you later. All right, now it's just you and I, but Netter can still chime in over the mic if she wants.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, because technically she's still on my mic, so. But yeah, right. You can't get rid of me.
Disney delays Snow White and Elio a year, removes Jonathan Majors' magazine Dreams from calendar. What the heck is Elio?
I have no idea. I don't know. Let's read the article, or maybe someone in the chat can let us know.
All right, hold on. I have to get through the Matthew Perry article. Okay.
Can you imagine, two people bringing you the news and one saying, "What's this all about?" and the other one going, "I don't know. Read the text and we'll find out."
Oh, that's a Pixar thing. Okay. Get ready for the dominoes to start falling in earnest as studios race to rearrange their 2024 theatrical release calendar amid the ongoing actor strike. This is becoming chaotic.
Good.
Right now.
Good.
Yeah. I like movies. Look, I don't like Hollywood, but
this is the pivot point. This gives the studios the cover they need to scrap a bunch of crap products, or try to salvage them. In the case of Snow White, we'll get to that one.
Disney on Friday announced it is delaying the release of its live-action Snow White movie starring Rachel Zegler by a year, from March 2024 to March 21st, 2025. The film, which is officially titled Disney's Snow White, is among the studio's biggest offerings of the year and is one of the anchors of its spring slate. The other spring anchor is Pixar's March animated tentpole Elio, which is being pushed back by more than a year from March 1st, 2024 to June 13th, 2025. In a move unrelated to the strike, Disney's Searchlight Pictures have removed Magazine Dreams starring Jonathan Majors from December 2023 calendar. The decision was widely expected due to Majors' legal troubles. He's due to stand trial November 29th in New York for misdemeanor harassment and assault charges. The film premiered at Sundance in January and at the time was considered an awards season vehicle for Majors, who plays an aspiring bodybuilder. That's a disaster.
Yep.
That probably was going to be a legitimate. In fact, it's almost sounding like it was a. Disney used to have what I used to call a line of sports movies, like Miracle about the hockey team.
Yeah,
I think Remember the Titans. That was another Disney. They would do sports movies. This looks as one of their sports movies, and now it looks like.
I'll have more to say about Jonathan Majors when we get to our next piece, but yeah.
The calendar shifts come as the actor strike has stretched past 100 days. Earlier this week, Disney's Bob Iger and other Hollywood CEOs told SAG-AFTRA that the deadline is all but upon them in terms of having to decide which films to push if the two sides can't come to a resolution. Multiple sources say the deadline is the first week of November, if not November 1st. Expect more release date changes in the coming days should the strikes talks fall apart, in particular regarding 2024 summer movies. I feel like the summer movie series is going to die because, I'll hold that thought. Let me just keep going. Disney did not address the status of Deadpool 3, which Marvel Studios said to open in early May of this year. They want Deadpool 3 this year. You can tell that, right? They really want that to come out because, the threequel is virtually assured of relocating, as it was in numerous Hollywood movies that had to halt production when the actor strike commenced. On Monday, Paramount announced that Tom Cruise's next Mission Impossible movie is departing the 2024 box office calendar. The 8th installment in the action spy franchise appears to be. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that later. Or are we talking? Yeah, I think we have an article on that later. I'll get to it. Jonathan. Okay, so what do you think? Reforming Snow White.
Yeah, if you look at my thumbnail, which actually is the picture taken directly from this article. We'll probably be talking about this in the coming weeks. I'm looking to see what the scuttlebutt is, as people talk more about it. But
using the word scuttlebutt,
I am not going to let Disney take scuttlebutt away from us.
They did. It's ruined, and get that song in my head every time you say it. Oh,
I'm going to do it all the more now.
Speaking of Disney, I came up with South Park to do a Snow White face-off between Rachel Ziegler and...
I know, right? But what was I saying? A lot of people talking about the whole situation with the dwarves. Apparently, based on that image being released, looks like they are going back to, I guess we do need to have the 7 dwarfs in there because they really are iconic and, all over the freaking park, and it's kind of hard to put out a, anniversary, physical media of Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs and not acknowledge the dwarves. But there's, you mark my words, I expect there to be all kinds of blowback for the fact that they didn't cast actual dwarves to play the dwarves. You can't win in a situation like this, and I said this when they revealed the 7 magical beings or whatever the hell they are, this is going to blow up in their face no matter what they do. But this is what we're getting, folks. It'll be interesting.
Are you sad about not getting
and watch for it to be horrible CG because it wasn't filmed as CG. You didn't have people with the green outfits and the dots, right? They're just, Star Wars special editioning this. And it's gonna suck. So no matter what they do, they're screwed.
It's not about whether or not it sucks, it's whether or not they can lie enough to get people into seats to see this thing. That's what it's going to be about.
You honestly think what's funny is
I think they're thinking maybe in 2 years the people forget about all the Rachel Ziegler controversy and everything else.
Well, I'll tell you, it's first that's not going to happen.
Maybe they need to take the male lead and start playing him up more. Maybe he could.
That would probably be a great marketing tactic. But let me tell you something: these guys, they've had every opportunity to pivot on things before. They didn't pivot when it came to Captain Marvel. They didn't pivot when they came to any of the other things. Certainly none of the Star Wars stuff. So they're screwed no matter what they do.
They have no control over Lucasfilm. This is the conclusion I've come to.
They don't seem to have control over anything. They don't have control over Lucasfilm. They don't have any control over Marvel. They don't.
Yeah,
have
but
any
at least over at
Pixar.
Marvel, you see some self-corrections happening, like with the Daredevil series. Like, okay, no. I mean, obviously you had that She-Hulk conundrum where they actually had Kevin Feige himself getting insulted on the show, which
what's happening is they're in panic mode. That's what it is. Let's call it what it is. And speaking of which, let's continue on talking about Jonathan Majors.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead and paste it.
Yep.
Post it. All right. Jonathan Majors criminal case. DA releases new details, including police incident in London. I noticed this pops out on Variety. It seems like Variety is always revealing.
I didn't give you the link, did I?
No.
Because 2-part stupid.
It's okay.
Way too long a titles. The way they do these. Sorry.
Yeah. You notice how I have very snappy titles on my front.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I have to fit 3 of them on there. Okay. Majors was arrested on March 25th in Manhattan and is accused of assault and aggravated harassment following an alleged domestic dispute with his then girlfriend, Grace Jeopardy. In a new 115-page filing obtained by Variety, prosecutors say they are attempting to get a copy of a London Metropolitan Police report from September 2022. While it is unclear what that report contains, the following references medical care obtained by Jeopardy at the time. Jeopardy is a citizen of the United Kingdom, and Majors was in London during that period filming season 2 of the Disney Plus Marvel series Loki. This development comes a day before Majors has to return to court for his domestic violence case. Wednesday's court appearance is expected to be one of the final pretrial hearings before the judge rules on whether to proceed with or dismiss the case. The lengthy filing from Manhattan District Attorney's Office is in response to the actor's motion to dismiss the case. It does not entirely lay out the DA's case, though it is intended to provide enough details to move the case toward trial. Variety previously reported that additional alleged abuse victims of Majors are cooperating with the DA's office. The filing also alleges that Majors' legal team has leaked and misrepresented court evidence, as well as attempted to have police create a wanted poster with Jeopardy's photo. It also dismisses the idea that the DA has any plans to prosecute Jeopardy for domestic violence alleged by Majors in a counterclaim, contradicting recent media reports that claim such an action was imminent. The document also offers new details on the events that led to Majors' arrest on March 25th. He and Jeopardy were taking a private car service from a Brooklyn party to their Chelsea apartment. According to the filing, Jeopardy, who worked as a movement coach alongside Majors on Disney's Marvel tentpole Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, saw a text message on Majors' phone that read, "Wish I was kissing you right now." She allegedly took the phone out of his hands to see who sent the message. Majors then began grabbing the right side of Ms. Jeopardy's body and prying Ms. Jeopardy's right middle finger off the phone, causing bruising, swelling, and substantial pain. The filing continues that Majors then grabs Ms. Jeopardy's arm and right hand and proceeded to twist Ms. Jeopardy's forearm, causing substantial pain to her finger and arm. Defendant then struck Ms. Jeopardy's right ear, causing a laceration to the back of the ear and substantial pain. After he retrieved the phone, Majors exited the vehicle and Jeopardy attempted to follow the actor. That's when the defendant grabbed her, picked her up, and threw her back inside and sustained substantial pain, including a fractured finger, bruising about her body, a laceration behind the right ear, and a bump on her head, according to the filing. Finally, calls into question a number of media leaks that paint Jeopardy as the aggressor. In the time since the arrest, Majors' criminal defense lawyer Priya Chaudhry has alleged that it was Jeopardy who assaulted Majors and not the other way around. Chaudhry also called the case a witch hunt, one that is saturated with explicit implicit bias. Majors pleaded not guilty to the 4 charges leveled against him. A 5th charge of strangulation was dropped. Major lawyers have previously alleged there was a video that shows at least one bystander called 911 and that NYPD patrol car responded to the location, and the defense has been informed that NYPD possesses at least one other 911 call from the scene of the altercation. But the state is casting doubt on the depiction of events. The DA's filing says an unrelated taxi was pulled over nearby, and police were called. This taxi is not in any way involved in the case. Finally says it also alleges that there is no radio runs, sprint reports, or 911 calls at the scene of the incident that night. So what do you think? Chaudhry has maintained there's evidence clearing Majors of any wrongdoing, including surveillance video.
So I always say that what we're covering here on Geeky Geezers, even if it's been covered on, other YouTube channels that you follow, some of our favorites, we will probably be bringing a different perspective than you'll hear anywhere else. And I'm going to give you a little hot take of my personal opinion of this situation that may not be popular, and it certainly isn't one that I've heard from anyone else.
Wait, can I say one thing first?
Sure.
Excuse the language, a bitch shouldn't have been touching his phone.
Yeah, I Netter and I haven't even talked about this before, but it's absolutely true. Does that mean that it's okay that he beat the crap out of her? No. But we have this tendency to look at these situations and go, this one is absolutely wrong and this one is absolutely right. No, you everybody needs to take responsibility for their own actions. I don't care what he did. I don't care what you read in his message. You should not be taking his personal property. Okay.
And she's probably still like grabbing at him.
You can call him on it. You can say, if you're seeing someone else, you're not seeing me. We're done. But you don't take his property. And when he wants it back, you give it to him. And if you get hurt because you start a fight with him, you know, like I said, he has no business getting physical, but at the same time.
No, but I'm getting the impression it wasn't just pushing her away and that was it. I got the impression that
he couldn't get the thing away from her.
And she just kept attacking him, so he was defending himself.
It definitely is. There's and this goes back to, well, you can't really talk about these kinds of things now without drawing comparisons to the Johnny and Amber Heard thing, right? It's
right.
There's two different things to look at. You know, what's right and wrong, you know, in the gossipy kind of way about people that we don't know and really none of our business, and the legal element, right? So what everybody is focusing on is the legal aspect, right? There is innocent until proven guilty. Look, until all this stuff comes out in court, we should not be, from a legal standpoint, drawing any conclusions and saying guilty or innocent or mitigated or what the case is. However, I do think it's appropriate for a public figure. You have made choices in your life, whether you have done something wrong or you are associating with people that are causing these problems, right? So in the comparison to Johnny and Amber, Johnny, you could be 100% not your fault. She was the abuser. But Johnny, you dipped your wick in crazy. It kind of does fall on you a little bit. You reap the consequences of the decisions you make, and who you get involved with in your personal life is one of those decisions, and how that impacts his public, perception, and whether or not, companies want to work with you. Sorry, that's how business works.
Part of the problem is Johnny Depp had a very long career before this and leading man, making lots of money. Majors was a rising star.
Yep.
And he probably might have risen to those heights, but the trouble is now this is still early on in his career. This could just have it nosedive at this point.
These are the kinds of things you have to decide about when you're making, decisions. And when I say decisions, what you do in your personal life, what could come out in the media because you are a rising star, so to speak, what you say on social media, what you say, in a
press tour.
Yeah. These things have ramifications, and you should get your ducks in order if you're going to, be in front of the public. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. So, should we talk games?
Let's talk games, but what do you think is going to happen with Major? You think is there going to be a big Hollywood trial now, like we're going to be getting with?
I don't think there's enough interest there, because I guess my understanding is that the girlfriend is something of a celebrity too, but I don't know her from Adam, and he has not established himself well enough for many people outside of Marvel, to know who he is, and even there, if you didn't watch Disney. Disney Plus and those shows, you don't know who he is.
He was the antagonist in Creed 3. That was the movie that came out, I think, right before this happened. Like he was the one that, Adonis Creed was going up against in that movie. But
I think that's that's hardly going to cement him in people's memories. Though first you have to have seen Creed 3, then you have to have said, oh, I really like that character, that the bad guy character, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's I
So
don't know. It's kind of sad actually, but I mean,
the thing is, if you can bounce back a lot easier if you've got a lot of goodwill behind you. Look, Johnny had, as you said, not only was he a well-known celebrity before all of this, but he was able to bring in character witness. All the women he dated before were like, yeah, he's not a violent person. Never, even when we broke up, it was completely amicable. And, I mean, if you can't find a history, then, and that does not seem to be the case that we're seeing here. But again, from a legal standpoint, we'll see how this plays out. But from a business and public opinion standpoint, this is bad. This is bad, and this is not something that Disney needs to deal with right now. This hurts.
Disney is just their. They did a whole South Park episode on it about the state of Disney.
Oh, did they? Yeah.
Yes, Kathleen Kennedy was in it.
Yeah. Rosefire got a log off for the night. Wishing everyone a good week ahead and happy Halloween.
Yes, happy Halloween.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us, Rosefire. It's always a pleasure.
Jonathan, wait, that's not what I'm looking for.
No, I'm sorry. I had to put up
Mario.
It's
all about Mario. Have you heard of the Mario?
Yes, he was the one. He was the character you play in Donkey Kong.
Yes, he was. I don't know if they even called him Mario back then or if he was Jumpman. All right. Super Mario Brothers Wonder tops this week's Nintendo Switch eShop charts. I'm shocked, I tell you. That
you don't sound very shocked.
A brand new Super Mario Brothers game would be the top digital seller.
Are you telling me you're not really that shocked?
Yes, this week's Nintendo Switch eShop charts are in, and no one's surprised Super Mario Brothers Wonder takes home the title as sales have surged since yesterday's release. That's all I'm going to mention from this article, because what's the point? This is just
okay.
It's the biggest game. It's one of the biggest games of the holiday season. That's sort of what we're here to talk about tonight. The big games of the holiday season.
Yeah,
I think it was suggested I should look into publishing too. I mean, look what's going on in publishing, because can't talk about Hollywood because all it is nothing's coming out. Delays. The returning TV shows haven't come back. Like a lot of the returning TV shows, they're not.
I wonder if people even notice or care.
Well, don't people still watch NCIS and things like that? I don't know.
I actually haven't watched NCIS for many seasons now.
I know Gibbs left. Mark Harmon
when
left.
Gibbs left, and what's his name went off to play that bull that you like so much. I mean,
it's funny. I kept thinking that they might bring DeNozo back, though. Maybe they still will, because now he's not doing bull anymore, so they could always bring him back to NCIS. Yeah. Mario games may be better, but Sonic games are more fun. Yet this is some article on The Escapist, and I'm just going to explain why I think this is a stupid argument, but maybe not for the reasons you think. All right. Of all the rivalries to ever grace gaming, the battle between Mario and Sonic is arguably the most iconic, emblematic of the console wars between Nintendo's Super Nintendo Entertainment System and the Sega Genesis. That rivalry has transcended that era of gaming and has embodied each franchise to a certain extent. When a new Sonic game comes out, comparisons to Mario are inevitable, like when people call Sonic Lost World and immediately call it a clone of Super Mario Galaxy. Was that a game?
I don't know.
I never.
You're asking me. You're the game guy here.
I don't know. There's so many Sonic games that were forgettable to me. The inverse is rarely true, as Mario is usually the standard bearer and innovator of the genre. But comparisons will still be made regardless of whether it makes sense. That is abundantly true right now, as the iconic gaming rivalry has been revived. Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Wow.
Sorry, that was a cough.
There you go.
Bless you anyway.
I should drink some water. And Sonic Superstars, two 2D side-scrolling games, are releasing mere days apart from each other, from two franchises that used to be bitter rivals. With that dual release happening, it's time to admit that while Mario games are better, Sonic games are generally more fun.
So, how do you define better then?
Okay.
Wouldn't you say if you're playing a game, the one that's the most fun is the better?
The one you're enjoying the most is better.
Okay. This is what I'm going to say. People that rag on Sonic games and say that Mario is better bug me. People that rag on Mario games and say Sonic games bug me. It depends on the Sonic game. It depends on the Mario game. It's like comparing Star Wars to Star Trek.
I was
Or
just going to
maybe
say, is this
Star
like comparing Star Wars, Star Trek, or
kind of
Marvel
yes.
and DC? And
Kind of yes. Yeah, kind of yes. I think that's appropriate here. Because there are some Mario games that are more vanilla and forgettable than others, and some that are genuinely great experiences. Less so with the Sonic games, because I feel Sonic is always appropriate when it's a 2D side scroller. I mean, I think they've made some strides in the 3D versions, but we'll get to that. Okay, so to be fair, both games look to be solid multiplayer experiences, and I will be forcing my friends and loved ones to play with me. But it made me start to think about both franchises as a whole and the overall quality between each installment. No matter how I looked at it, I can't deny Mario games are much more well-polished experiences that stand the test of time. That can't be denied. That being said, I have much more fun playing Sonic games and will always choose to play a Sonic game over a Mario game every day of the week. Well, that's your preference. Make no mistake, I'm an avid fan of both franchises. The very first game I got for the GameCube was Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, and Super Mario Galaxy introduced me to the Wii. Both games are some of my favorites, and I've been a fan of both franchises since I was a kid. But looking at my playing habits over the past decade or so, I've noticed how frequently I've gone back to playing Sonic games, while Mario games tend to become permanent fixtures in my gaming collection instead of games that I play on a frequent basis. I think that for me personally, that comes down to exactly how both franchises engage with me and how I feel in a way Mario games feel they lack any inherent personality. Yikes. Oh, sure, Mario games are always fun to play and are usually some of the best games of the respective console generations. But when I think about Mario, what comes to mind isn't the smoothest butter game feel or the precisely designed levels. It's how sterile it all feels. They lack any unique personality of their own, effectively going to the same genre tropes and level designs that were codified by virtually every Mario game. No, but I'll get to that later. You have your grass level, desert level, lava level. New Super Mario Bros. Sub-Series is infamous for that copy and paste mentality, but it is present in a lot of the 3D offerings too. No, it isn't, but I'll get to that later. I've also found that each new Mario game has at least one new gimmick that leads to some interesting gameplay, sections, level design, but they don't really evolve one entry to another. Okay, granted, you can accuse Sonic games of the exact same criticism. For most of Sonic's career, each new game had some mildly different mechanics implemented onto its core game design that stood out from other entries. There are the team mechanics from Sonic Heroes, a game nobody really liked. The Wisps in Sonic Colors, the Werehog in Sonic Unleashed, that was stupid. There was a Sonic game where he went back in time to the Knights of the Round Table days, and instead of Merlin, he ran into Merlina.
Okay.
They had a female Merlin to be cute. It's stupid. The best Sonic games are the one that stick to the core mechanics that made the original Sega Genesis games so great. Okay, so you want to know where all this comes from, right? Yeah. This whole Sonic Mario rivalry. Okay, back in the day, Sega was going up against Nintendo. Nintendo, let's be honest, they were kind of a bully after the NES came out.
Okay.
They used to tell third parties, yeah, you can release games on other consoles, but don't bother releasing them on ours then. You know, they would say stuff like that. They were really stringent, but Sega brought out a 16-bit console called the Sega Genesis in North America in 1989. Yep. That was, I think, a full 2 years before the Super Nintendo. That's a big head start. Sega Genesis was sold as Bring the Arcade Home. I did a good old days on it a while back.
Yep.
And, of course, they needed their own mascot character to sell the system. Now, they originally started doing games like there was the Alex Kidd series. They did games starring Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck that were very good, but they don't own those. Disney owns them. So eventually they came up with Sonic the Hedgehog. And it's a very different mechanic to a Mario game. They're both sort of platforming games, but Sonic games are based on speed and zipping through levels, whereas Mario is more about exploration. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's
you get a
very
little bit
different feel.
In most levels of Mario, you have a little bit more time to think and say, what's going on here?
You have no time to think in Sonic. You have to think on the spot.
Yes.
They're very different types of games. I do like them both. I love both series back in the day. When I had a Super Nintendo, I was looking for an answer to Sonic for the Super Nintendo. And unfortunately, Mario wasn't that answer because Mario is his own thing. Sonic is his own thing. The closest we got was Donkey Kong Country, which, while not based on speed, it was still more of an edgier platformer than Mario was. I think it was sort of Nintendo's answer. But Donkey Kong Country was sort of its own unique thing, too. And, of course, then You get to the 3D Mario games, which I didn't care for at first, even though I know Mario 64 was a huge seller of the N64 when it came out. And then eventually you had Super Mario Galaxy, which I thought was brilliant because it was all based around, it was platforming. Well, it was all based around gravity, like you being on these little planet spheres and, you jumping in, doing platforming on like a circular motion. It was very interesting to me.
Samuel Proctor says, well, Sonic games are supposed to be about speed. Depending on the game, they shoot themselves in the foot by putting slow platforming sections in some levels. Well,
I hate to say that. I think the original was Sonic CD interrupted a lot of that flow. That was notorious back in the day for doing that. They consider it the best bad Sonic game, which I don't know if that's a compliment or not. I think it's a good game, but it didn't have that sense of speed. See, the original 3 Genesis games were Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and then there's Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Sonic and Knuckles. And with those games, you could combine them into what you could. There was a thing on Sonic and Knuckles where you could plug your Sonic 3 cartridge in and get this huge, all-encompassing Sonic game called Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which was like the grand finale for the Sega Genesis. And it was
Matanui says
really
he's not wrong from what I've seen. I have no doubts. I don't know from experience, but I can understand what he's saying. And
he thinks Mario's too vanilla. That's what's going on here.
No. We're talking about what Samuel Proctor said.
Okay. Here's the deal. Mario gets accused of being vanilla. That's kind of the funny thing about it. I don't want to say he's like Mickey Mouse, but sometimes Mickey Mouse by himself isn't funny. But when you throw Mickey Mouse into these weird situations with other characters,
with Donald Duck and Goofy,
or even stick them in a haunted house and things like that. And that's what Mario does as well. They throw him into these weird scenarios, like Super Mario Odyssey, where Bowser kidnaps Princess Peach, says, "We're getting married," okay, and then he's stuck going to these different kingdoms, and they're so bizarre. Like one's in and like one is in a desert, and you could tell it's based on, I guess, Mexico, because everyone's wearing Day of the Dead masks and stuff, and you're fighting like these Toltec type statues, or it's fun. They're both fun. It's just that I feel Sonic has had a harder time sticking to the landing post Genesis.
I just
new game's supposed to be very good though. Sonic Superstars.
Gaming. I didn't know.
You don't care
about it.
I played Jazz Jackrabbit. I know. Okay.
I just
he was the DOS
it with
mascot
you. I thought it was news. If it wasn't news, we could have not talked about it. But you spent a lot of time talking about this, so it must have really pushed your buttons.
Here's what it is. This is what happens with the whole Sonic is better than Mario, Genesis better than Super Nintendo better than Genesis. You're a kid. If you're lucky, your parents buy you one game console. They ain't buying you both. So you will justify that purchase and fight with other kids on the playground that have the
defense
console.
mechanism.
And the thing is, there were things that the Genesis did better than the Super Nintendo, things that the Super Nintendo did better than the Genesis. They were both great game consoles. If you were a kid, you were doing well if you had either one. All right. So, and now that we're all older, we can now retrospectively play the games on both systems and just recognize they were both great consoles. Sega was the best competitor Nintendo ever had. Nintendo was the best competitor Sega ever had. And we can put that to bed. All right. Sounds good.
Well,
There'll still be people arguing.
What about the PS5?
PS5 is doing well. Matanui's in the chat, so feel free to argue with any of the points being made by these articles. Okay, like I say, I think I saw one article though. It's like Spider-Man 2 proves we're in the post woke age, and I don't know if that means just like we just got to live with the woke stuff now and everything. But this is the optical drive article. Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Okay, yeah. All right, let's get to this one. PS5 Slim optical drive needs to connect to the internet to power it to the console. The upcoming PlayStation 5 Slim popped up online, and with that comes fresh information about how the optical disk drive will work with the digital edition of the console. The Charlie Intel Twitter account published the images of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 PlayStation 5 Slim bundle, and as eagle-eyed observers noticed, a disclaimer that has said that the cat among the pigeons within the game community, internet connections required to pair disk drive and PS5 console on setup. The new PlayStation 5, you have an optional disk drive you can buy for it. Do you understand? Like if you want to actually play the physical games or Blu-rays on your system, you buy this separate drive.
Okay.
From what I heard, it does click in pretty well and feels like a natural part of the console, or you can just leave it off. So But it just reminded me of what Xbox is doing with its upcoming Xbox refresh, and it just feels like the companies are really wanting us to get away from physical media. More Microsoft than Sony, but this is kind of interesting though. Wait, are you actually trying to say to me that the PlayStation 5 optical disk drive has online DRM? You know, DRM, digital rights management? Like you have to sign into the internet to play the game that you own. This happens in some online game stores, like on PCs and sometimes even with consoles. You know what DRM is, right?
Yeah.
This is the first time I've heard of DRM with a piece of hardware.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's been around, I just haven't noticed. So, yeah, apparently when you hook this thing up, you have to go online to pair it. To be fair, I think I read later on, you can, when you pair it, you only have to do that once and it's with your system. But still, that's kind of bizarre to me. What if you don't have an internet connection? I guess you can't use this piece of hardware.
Man, I knew he's making a great point. He says that's stupid. Why does a disk drive need Wi-Fi? Shouldn't need Wi-Fi if the whole point is to read disks.
Yes.
Right?
I don't know. Shouldn't need Wi-Fi if the whole point is to read disks. No, you shouldn't. So, yeah. I don't know. It's just, I feel like with each passing generation, I know Microsoft are the big pushers of this. I'm afraid Sony's going to fall suit, and who knows, maybe even Nintendo at some point. It's weird because it's interesting because I think my brother had the Nintendo Switch Lite, which is just it's a purely portable version of the Switch. I mean, the Switch is already portable. You can just buy one that's strictly a portable, right? And he bought one of those for gaming on the go. And he had physical cards for the disc. Well, apparently anything you have on the Switch, you can put like digital games and other things on a secondary Switch, but you have to sign into the internet to play them like once a month.
I think Samuel Proctor's onto something here.
Yes.
He says, sounds like they're making discs less reliable in terms of actually owning physical media. Yeah, I think it goes back to what Boomer said a little bit ago. I think they still have to acknowledge the physical media, but they want to wean you off of it if they can.
What if future Blu-ray players require you to sign into the internet to play the Blu-ray discs?
To some degree, they do, because you have to up.
You do have to update them every so often because some discs won't work otherwise.
Yep.
DVD was, I mean, sometimes it's funny, back in the days, the early days of DVD, sometimes you'd run the DVDs that weren't compatible with all players, and then a company would have to do a reissue. I used to have a copy of Ninja Scroll put out by I think Manga Entertainment, and it didn't play, so I sent them, hey guys, this won't play on my player, can I get a replacement? And they just sent it back to me. SOBs. Instead of giving me one that worked. But I eventually bought another copy of it by another company that got distribution to that movie. I didn't yet, but yeah. Anyway, I don't know. It's kind of a scary time we're living in, don't you think? I'm starting to wonder if they really don't want us to own anything.
Yep. You will own nothing and you will be happy.
Okay.
Or everyone will be equally miserable, I think is the real way to look at it.
Yes. All right. So,
speaking of being miserable,
well, it's the big hit game on the PlayStation 5 right now. This is Spider-Man 2, based on Marvel Comics Spider-Man. I actually have the original Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4. In fact, when I bought the PlayStation 4, I waited for the special Spider-Man console to come out. That was completely red and had the Spider-Man logo on it. It came with a free copy of Sony's Spider-Man for it.
Sure.
And I actually really dug of what I played of that game. I never got around to finishing it, but it was neat because the game starts out where most Spider-Man games end with Peter Parker going up against the Kingpin.
Sure.
While the police are trying to arrest the Kingpin, but Spider-Man's trying to get in there first before Wilson Fisk destroys the information that will incriminate him, after the police search the place. So
yeah,
it's you going to battle with the Kingpin's, goons, and then you go up and you're fighting like this nasty boss, like a bunch of machine guns fire you, and then you have to fight the Kingpin himself.
Right.
But finally he gets arrested, and the idea behind that game is, we finally put the Kingpin away, but that leaves a power vacuum in the city. And so now it's about who's the new villain's going to be, I think. But anyway, I got kind of annoyed because they changed the face model for Peter Parker in those games. I preferred the original face model. But all right, let me read this.
I saw just to front load this. I did watch a playthrough, not a playthrough, but some play footage from a gamer YouTuber that I like. Call Me Kevin, and his shtick is to play badly on purpose and make jokes about it as he goes.
Okay.
And so no matter how he screws up, it's funny and he can get a gag out of it. And I was looking at there was like some shots of Peter that looked like Tobey Maguire. It was definitely a costume that, was Tobey Maguire.
Right.
Jason.
Yeah, you can collect all the costumes from the different movies. Yeah.
Yeah. And, but then on the close-ups and like that doesn't look anything like any Peter Parker I've ever seen. And then I've seen some footage of what Mary Jane looks like, and I'm like, what the hell are they doing here? Then he makes a joke about the fact that you got two Spider-Mans, and they call each other Spider-Man.
Yeah,
it's like, that's got to get really damn confusing.
Miles Morales, who I think in the original game he's not even Spider-Man yet. He must get bit during that game, but he, I guess it's more like a like Peter Parker serving as like a mentor character to him in that game because he's just getting his powers. But anyway, Peter Parker works closely with. This is from a wonderful column from The Gamer. Maybe don't click on that link. But I thought this was interesting. Peter Parker works closely with the police in this first Insomniac outing, but the sequel has a more mature outlook. Yeah, the first Spider-Man game was kind of he worked alongside the police. Do you understand?
Right.
He didn't portray the police as. I guess. Let me read the article. All right. In the first game, we initially get a tease that there might be a touch of the radical about this tale. Spider-Man fights Kingpin, but in doing so, discovers part of the NYPD is on his payroll. Massive corruption explicitly linking law enforcement to mob rule, and then the game forgets about it. They just put it away, just a few bad apples. The rest of the bunch remains unspoiled. For the rest of the game, Spider-Man is in constant communication with the police via Captain Yuri, adopts his spider cop persona regularly, and even fixes police surveillance towers so he can benefit from them snooping on citizens. This neoliberal attitude, which sees the police as an innate force for good, who must be protected and grown in order to best keep everyone else safe, permeates throughout the game. Spider-Man calls street-level drug dealers his least favorite type of criminals, even as he deals with deranged scientists who build massive vulture wings for themselves as they destroy buildings. Sure, using the power of your inner demons to blow up the town hall and kill innocent bystanders is bad, but that guy has a dime bag of weed on him. Or he could be selling fentanyl, Mr. Article writer.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think it's a neoliberal attitude to not want your store to get robbed.
I know.
You're like a small business owner. Most main missions in the first game and with Spider-Man leaving baddies webbed up, ready to be arrested. Peter Parker is a vigilante who takes the law into his own hands, deals out justice where it's needed rather than where the system wanted. And has a solemn vow never to kill. He should not like the NYPD all that much. And before we get into the idea that Spider-Man is apolitical, his defining feature is that he is poor and is often used to highlight the inequalities of the city. Do you think that defines Spider-Man? I'm not even saying that's how in the comics. He's poor.
It depends. I think what really defines Spider-Man is he has the crummiest luck of all the superheroes. I think that's what really
he has bad luck. I think that's what defines him, but he still, he still does the right thing. Okay, so what's more, the developers agree. Insomniac has said that propaganda was not the intent of the first game, and that's why the sequel's so refreshing. Spider-Man Miles Morales, that's the kind of game they made in between these. The 1.5 game between the two titles leaves police out of the picture almost entirely, even as Miles talks about his late father who died in the line of duty as a police officer. Yes, you forget that. Miles had a police officer as a father, so but if Miles Games avoids the issue, Spider-Man 2 confronts it. Most obviously, this is done through Yuri. Once Spider-Man's woman on the side, she has left the police force to become the vigilante herself under the moniker Wraith. This is set up for further corruption in Spider-Man's DLC packs and is established in the comics themselves. While the plan is to likely always to move Yuri to Wraith, it's generous to suggest the game's added to cops was a bait-and-switch scenario. More likely, the first game tried to write Spider-Man as a good person, and working with law enforcement while hating drug dealers was an easy way to do that. Sequel takes a much harder path of establishing Spidey's goodness without the handy-dandy boys in blue, and the results are so much stronger. Police featuring the game at all is extremely rare, and when they do it, it's only situations where their absence would be weird. When a building is destroyed, there's going to be a cop nearby scratching their head, wondering what to do, but neither police nor Miles have much communication with them, instead talking to the fire chief when they need a link to the more grounded emergency services. So I feel that, I don't know, I haven't played the game, but it sounded like the game developers pandered to the criticism that they were too friendly to the police in the first game. What do you think?
I don't know. I'm going to reserve my opinions until we get, because you sent me a bunch of articles about this game, and we got more to get into.
All right. Insomniac Spider-Man 2 enters its bisexual era with this beloved villain.
Yeah, and I had to correct the spelling on their title. You know, these social media news outlets don't do the simple basic spell check, for crying out loud.
Yeah, this was from Yahoo, but I think it's via a site called Pride, right? All right. So, yeah, I'm not going to spend as much time on this one. It's official. The bisexual Black Cat is out of the bag in Spider-Man 2, the latest game from Insomniac video game series. Black Cat, a.k.a. Felicia Hardy, is not only has confirmed that, like in the comics, she is femme, but she has a girlfriend. For those unfamiliar with this member of Spider-Man Rogues Gallery, she first came out in 2021 when she kissed her best friend Tamara, who's also a fellow thief cat burglar known as Iron Cat. Okay. Iron Cat's a thing. Okay, so this happened in 2021. So I guess they're just following the comics. Did you know this happened?
No, I did not, because I haven't read the comics for years. What I will say about this, though, is this the kind of representation they want? You know, the villains are the gay characters.
Is Black Cat even a villain? I don't know. I think she's
I said the same thing when we were talking about Harley and Poison Ivy. It's like, guys, is this the representation? Is this the representation you want? You know, this is not good. This is bad. The qualities that the villains have are not aspirational and not good. You know.
Okay, so I guess she's. I'll say this: I think the look she has in this new game is better than the look she had in the last game. I think she did not look good at all in the last game.
And Samuel makes a great point.
I think they made Mary Jane worse in this game, though. But
it's the games actually adapting the comics. The problem being that they're adopting modern comics, which you could say the exact same thing about Marvel films. When they were adapting the classic comics, they were great. They started the all new, all different Marvel, and guess what? It sucks now.
Tell me something. What does their sexuality have to do with anything to do with them being a hero or villain?
Well, I think because someone kidnapped her girlfriend, so she needs Spider-Man's help.
Okay, so that would be the same as if Troy was Batman and I was his girlfriend. Someone kidnaps me. His sexuality has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, but the point that I'm making is she's a villain character. She's a thief. Her girlfriend is a thief. These are not, heroic characters. You probably don't want, if you're LGB, to be associated with the bad guys. But whatever, do what you want.
I mean, Venom does sprout wings, and the symbiotes all have the null symbol on them.
Right.
Oh, yeah, okay. So let's go on to this one was kind of funny. This was, I just thought, a little ridiculous. This was the Spanish language version of the game.
Oh, right. Here, let me, I didn't realize we were done talking about the bisexual.
We can talk more about the I mean, you want to hear about the lesbian?
Well, I mean, they're both cat themed, right? So I guess it kind of makes sense when you really think about what they're into. See where I'm going with this? I'm trying to be oblique.
Yes.
Okay.
I know DC is going to be upset. They're going to say we didn't make Catwoman bisexual before they made Black Cat a bisexual, right?
Right. Exactly.
Okay, this is the other one. Social media users have learned the alleged Spanish version of Marvel's Spider-Man 2 alters the Spanish language to be inclusive to the point of being grammatically incorrect. The Twitter user shared a video of alleged Spanish version of the game and started to break down why it makes no sense. And hold on. Come on. This is from Learning the Law. Here is something interesting for Latinos. Spider-Man 2 has inclusive language. For those English speakers, this will be like spreading Latin X all over the game. Now you can predict what NPC has fatherless behavior. Spanish is a gendered language, meaning certain words are said differently depending on the gender of the person being spoken about. An example for non-Spanish users would be una entomóloga, when referring to a female entomologist, and un entomólogo for a male entomologist.
Yep.
Okay. So,
not to mention, though, that in gendered language, they also gender other nouns that don't necessarily associate to human biological genders. It is more a function of the language than it is, the what most Westerners think of as gender.
They already got weird with Black Cat in the first game, where there's a mystery about her son, whether or not it's Peter's kid. Whoa! Didn't know about that. Okay, and let's go to the other one. Marvel Spider-Man removes pride flags in Middle East.
Well, wait a minute. Before we move on to that one, there was something I wanted to say about this too. It's not mentioned in the article, but apparently they also, and I don't remember which was supposed to be the focus, but they swapped the Puerto Rico flag with the Cuba flag. Because they didn't bother to care which flag they used. And admittedly, they're very similar designs, but they are opposite colored. Whereas the Puerto Rico flag is a red triangle with blue stripes. The Cuba flag, or no, I'm sorry, it's the other way around. It's the Cuba flag is the red triangle.
You're doing it.
Well, no, exactly. With blue stripes, and the Puerto Rico flag is a blue triangle. I can't even remember my shapes. With red stripes. The dimensions of the flag are also different. The Cuba flag is more like a banner shape, elongated. But they didn't even bother to do the most basic of Google search, and it really does come off as this is representation. We are showing representation.
No, you're really not.
And yeah, they're really not. They're not even bothering to put in the effort. I mean, this was kind of like what happened with the comics a while back, where they were showing representation. It was all about, the superhero going out and getting tacos. That's how they show representation, right?
Tamales.
Whatever it was.
Shawarma.
It was, yeah. They reduce a culture down to its food, and it's ridiculous. But it's the Panderverse is what it is.
But this one seemed rather bizarre to me. Spider-Man Marvel removes pride flags in Middle Eastern version.
It doesn't sound surprising to me at all. I mean, if you know anything about the Middle East, if you know anything about Muslim faith, kind of makes you wonder why there's a queers for Palestine. But whatever.
The censorship was required in order for the game to, the Middle Eastern version, or at least Arabian version of Marvel Spider-Man 2 released with pride flags and other content removed. The censorship was required in order for the game to ship to the region with strict laws against LGBTQ plus individuals and behavior. The General Authority of Media Regulation made a post about the game's approval in the region after making modifications required by General Authority.
Yeah.
It confirms Spider-Man 2 Middle Eastern version has removed LGBT dialogues, side missions, and all gender spectrum flags. Are you going to insult me too, or accept the cooperation, see your identities pure money? To gay people who defend me just for showing the truth, thanks. Okay. So I'm kind of curious. I wonder how the Black Cat thing was changed in the Arabian version now.
They probably had. Well, it sounds like they changed the dialogue, so that just means they didn't have to mention it's her girlfriend; it's just her partner.
Sort of like how they'll cut a scene out of the Avengers Endgame, where Captain America was consoling one of the person, I guess, who had a husband man who had a husband who got destroyed in the snap. Okay, so Saudi Arabia also banned the recent Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse movie for the inclusion of a trans flag, as well as Final Fantasy 16 for having a gay character. Marvel Spider-Man 2 launched on October 20th for PlayStation 5. So I guess people were bringing this up because they figure all the stuff in this that they're doing in here is pandering, because they're either going to pander to these Middle Eastern countries that are moving this stuff, or putting it in here for the West. And is this stuff in here because of general artistic creation, or is it just in there to do checkoffs, or then to remove those checks when it's convenient? I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, it's a great point. So what are they supposed to do, right? I mean, they're trying to chase the equity dollars,
Right.
here in the West, but they also want to market in other markets, right? So they got to put out different versions,
I
and
feel like too they push things, because I know at the last game there were some complaints about you having to play Mary Jane, the intrepid reporter, as opposed to her being a supermodel like she was in the comics.
Yeah.
Right? But
and they're fundamentally changing these characters, and it's like, do you understand? These characters have agency too. Otherwise, nobody cares about them.
Yeah,
they're just hollow shells, But no, storytellers don't know, and they don't care, and companies sure don't know or care. And honestly, I'd almost have to side with the Middle East on this one. It's like what? Yeah, absolutely. It's like, why does this stuff? It's like what Netter was saying earlier. Why does this stuff even have to be in the games at all? Right? Why do you have to put that in there in these games for kids? Right? And then everybody is like, oh, it doesn't bother me. I just roll my eyes and I keep playing. You keep supporting it is what you do. And that's why we keep seeing this crap.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't know. I don't think people know about this stuff until after the purchase is made. It's not overt in the advertising for the game that this stuff is in there, Am I wrong here?
You make a good point.
The bear sex, I don't get that. That was previewed a while before that game came out. But Baldur's Gate,
don't even get me started.
Biggest hit of the year. It really was a hit game, and apparently it is a very good game. I mean, as far as mechanics go, as far as it not having predatory like DLC and stuff like that, it doesn't have that. It's actually a polished game that came out and people enjoyed.
It's just got predatory bestiality. That's that's beautiful.
I want to say you have a choice between the stuff in the games, but sometimes, like some of the romantic things, they really kind of put you in a corner game too. I just don't know, but I don't know. And I think someone had an article. Just are we, as far as gaming goes, are we in the post woke age where this stuff is just going to be in the games and we have to work around it, or do you just stop playing games? But then what do you do? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I mean, so far it hasn't slipped into Nintendo games. Well, no, it does on occasion, because we had that really awful localization of that Fire Emblem game earlier this year, and that was a Nintendo release. I don't know.
Hell, there you go.
Anyway, but let's move on. I don't know why you had to bring up Spider-Man.
You brought up Mission Impossible earlier. Let's get back to that.
All right. Anyway, we will not. Okay. Mission Impossible 8 release date delay sees it pushed out of 2024. I hope when they do that Wolverine game, they don't do the throuple thing with him and Cyclops and Jean Grey. Please don't do that.
Oh, God.
Please don't do that in the Wolverine game they're coming out with. Because I think a Wolverine game made by the same people would be really cool, right? But just don't do that. Just don't do that. Anyway, I like the love triangle. It works, with them and, where they're
actually, I would not
the affection of Jean Grey.
This may shock a lot of people. If they decide to do something weird with Deadpool and have him, playing both sides of the fence, that's his character, and he's insane too. So again, is that the kind of representation they want? But whatever.
Gotcha. Most people are going to pay attention unless it ruins the overall product, which it really doesn't here. Yeah, like I said, I don't know if these are tiny things in the game that the media is pointing out, but I don't know. I just noticed the internet was talking about it. So, Mission Impossible 8 release date delay sees it pushed out of 2024. This, in my opinion, is a disaster.
It hurts. It really does. It's a kind of a disappointment for us too, because looking forward to that Ghostbusters sequel, and that's been pushed out already. A lot of things have been, but let's face it. This is what it comes down to. The cream rises to the top. If it's good enough, it will still do well. But yes, when it gets delayed, it does hurt because they lose money on that. Remember, we talked about this before during like COVID and everything like that. if you are making a movie, you don't pay cash up front for these movies. You finance them. And that's why it's so important that you make back more than your budget, because just going in, you're spending more than your budget just in interest. And every month that movie isn't released is that much interest that, you're going to end up owing on it. So the longer these movies get put out, the more it costs in the budget area, and you could claim it's the to make it, or you could consider that marketing dollars. It doesn't matter what pocket the money's coming out of. It's coming out of the studio and that film, and makes it that much less of a success. But going back to the Disney ones, if they make them better movies, maybe it's a net plus for them.
Let me read the
article. But apparently, from what you told me about, and from what I've heard about Mission Impossible 7, it didn't really do as well as they wanted it to. So how good is Mission Impossible 8 going to
be? They need to release this thing next year, and they're not going to now. This is a problem. But I'll get into this after this. 8th Mission Impossible movies released.
Deleted Scene says, and all because Bobby Fleckman can't get it together.
Who's Bobby Fleckman?
I don't know. I don't even know who Bobby Fleckman is.
I probably know who this is. He's probably
normally I'm pretty good on getting the references Deleted Scenes makes. This one went over my head.
The 8th Mission Impossible movie's release date has been delayed to 2025, making it the latest movie to be pushed back amid the ongoing actor strike. Originally scheduled to be released in June 2024, it is now slated to be released on May 23rd, 2025. The sequel to Mission Impossible franchise, Dead Reckoning Part 1, will pick up where that film left off earlier this year. Like the rest of the franchise, it is expected to be built around a series of death-defying stunts, most of them performed by star Tom Cruise. Dead Reckoning was among the films to underperform in 2023, ultimately losing Paramount around $40 million due to production costs. Nevertheless, it won praise from critics and moviegoers alike, making it one of 2023's highest-rated movies. We wrote in our review, if every tentpole franchise entry were this fun and finely tuned, the theatrical versus streaming debate would be immediately put to rest. Ethan Hunt may fight to save the world, but Dead Reckoning Part 1 plays like Tom Cruise fight to save the summer blockbuster through entertainment on an enormous scale. Whatever lies in store for future Mission Impossible, McQuarrie's third outing as director proves that he still has an ingenious bag of tricks to pull from, having departed from the gloom and doom of Fallout to create an explosive yet reflexive action saga that leaves you wanting more. I didn't think Fallout was that gloom and doom. I don't know. But anyway, what did I want to say about this? Mission Impossible 7. Here's what I'll say about this. It's a cliffhanger. It's not like a cliffhanger like with the last Fast and the Furious where they're in an impossible situation. The bombs are going to go off. It's not that kind of cliffhanger. It's more like, the Lord of the Rings movies, the original Lord of the Rings movies, how each part kind of had an ending, but you knew there was more to come.
Right.
And more mysteries.
Because the overall arc isn't finished.
And that's what it feels like at the end of Dead Reckoning Part 1. And the trouble is, though, with the Lord of the Rings movies, they came out in succession 1 year after the other. And same with Back to the Future 2 and 3. 2 came out in the fall, 3 came out that summer. Going back to the Avengers, what was it? Infinity War and Endgame. You need to kind of release these. Yes?
Deleted Scenes responded, that was a deep, deep cut. That's why I missed it. Okay. No Spinal Tap fans. Bobby Fleckman, played by Fran Drescher, current film actors. So, in other words, when he says Bobby Fleckman, he means Fran Drescher. That's funny. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's funny. Okay, no, it's funny. It's funny. But anyway, I think this is a disaster for this second part. I think it needed to come out this year. People were waiting to find out what happened next. In fact, I think it would have been cool if they had released it as a winter release, like, for the holiday season. Like you see part 1 in the summer and see part 2 over the holidays. You understand?
The only way that would have worked is if they filmed them concurrently.
I think they did. I think it's done. I think the trouble is I guess they need the actors to go out and promote it. And I'll admit,
why do you need the actors always to promote it?
Tom Cruise does help with these.
Sure he does, but it can be done without him. Okay, if nothing else, he had already done like behind the scenes promotional things, that went out on social media and stuff. You can get those generated and put out on social medias again. That's what marketing is supposed to do. And you know what? There was a time before the social media and all the public appearances and stuff like that where you just promoted a movie by showing the trailers and doing commercials and blah, 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 blah. And especially now when we're talking about more commercials on social media and, not being able to run ad blockers and all other kinds of things, well, maybe start investing in using those marketing dollars. And not relying on your free, celebrities under contract to do it for you. Since they're not available now, do it the old-fashioned way.
Why is the strike taking so long?
Honestly, it's not. And I get what Deleted Scenes is saying about Fran Drescher. I don't even think it's so much Fran Drescher. But don't get me wrong. There's plenty of dysfunction going on their side of it with, bad legal representation and people that don't know what they're doing. But honestly, I think the studios are purposely dragging their heels because they want the opportunity to scrap projects they don't want to be working on and get rid of end contracts that they don't want to be stuck in. I honestly believe that's what's happening in a lot of these cases.
But not in the case of this. Okay, so you're thinking...
Not in the case of this one. This one is a casualty of... It's smoke from another fire, so to speak.
I'm worried this could hurt this movie in the long run, though, because
Sure it will. Yeah.
I think
if for no other reason...
come out the next year, yeah.
If for no other reason, what I said before about the financing and what you're saying about... And I may be putting words in your mouth, but it sounds to me like you're saying there's like a loss of momentum.
Yes,
when it's a sequel,
meant to say that. Yeah, loss
and
of
a follow up. Yeah,
it needed to come out like within a year's time at least, and now it's going to get postponed. They're even going to change.
You are committing to a 2-movie or 3-movie cycle.
It's a 2-parter, yeah.
If it's a 2-parter, you should film the 2 parts together.
No. You don't understand. They were filmed. I think it's ready to go.
I get that.
The trouble is, and I think Tom Cruise was the one that fought to make this project a 2-parter, whereas I think the director was going to do it as a 1, like the other ones were. And I think he wanted to have more character moments, more dialogue. Tom Cruise wanted to have
which,
in this
movie. From a quality standpoint, I'd say is probably a good thing.
Yes, but my worry is now. Again, this loss of momentum. Are people going to remember what happened in the last part? I mean, I guess I can watch it on video. If I were Paramount Plus, I would have this thing on their streaming network 6 months before this movie releases.
Dude, if I was Paramount, not only would I put it out on stream, I'd re-release it in the theaters. Why the hell not?
Yeah, but would people go see it though? I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
The video.
It's free money for them.
I think
anyone that does go. And again, marketing. These marketing people are just freaking not doing their jobs. Marketing says
what they should do.
I know where you're going with this. Go ahead.
They should re-release all the Mission Impossible movies in theaters, building up to this one.
Actually, that's kind of brilliant.
Maybe one a month if they could get away with it.
Yeah.
And
okay, that was more than I thought. But
maybe that wouldn't work, but I think that might, I don't know, that might rekindle interest in this. Figure out a way to celebrate the franchise as a whole rather than having it be.
They should be marketing the hell out of this. Yeah. The marketing department isn't on strike. They should be. And remember what I said about Ghostbusters Afterlife. They because of COVID and all this and the lockdowns and stuff, they put it from a summer release to a winter release. And it was a disappointment. And I did say they're losing money because of the financing, but their marketing department managed it perfectly because they worked with the licensees and made sure that, okay, you know what? We're not going to make you wait until Christmas to put out these toys. Let's start putting out some of this stuff. And so they kept the marketing. Instead of all at once, it came out over the course of 6 months. So there was always Ghostbusters in the news, always Ghostbusters to be bought. More hype, more hype, more hype. And I said, marketing did their jobs on this one. Admittedly, there was a couple things that fell through. There was a marketing deal with Hostess where they were going to have a Muncher themed Twinkie that ended up not happening, and they changed it to, I don't know, Florida Blue or something like that. And it was whatever, but everything else was a huge success. And I think what you're keying into is they should really do something very much like that for Mission Impossible. Fire everybody up, whip everyone into a frenzy so that they're looking forward to it.
Figure out something to get people excited about the franchise as a whole, rather than just the sequel. Because they're going to change the name. It's not going to be Dead
They're
Reckoning
sitting
Part 2
on a
now.
lemon. They
They're
should
gonna
be
call
making
somebody else.
lemonade and limoncello, and
It's not that the movie is bad. The
lemon
movie
meringue pie.
The movie may. Eventually, I know Michael French is going to talk about it, because I think he had some qualms with this last movie that came out, and I think I might understand some of them, especially the whole problem that it's a part one.
Yeah,
but maybe if they can stick the landing and make the second part really good, I think it'll redeem the entire thing. Do you understand? So, but I'm not going to know that until I actually see it, and they're postponing it. It's driving me nuts. So long as you forget Mission Impossible 2. You know what? I'm the only one that likes that movie, but I like it. I will defend it. It was the top grosser of 2000. Did you know that? Biggest blockbuster hit of 2000.
Okay, how did it impact Mission Impossible 3?
It took them forever to get Mission Impossible 3 made.
Maybe they needed people to forget about Mission Impossible 2.
It did good. It did great box office. It was the #1 hit movie of the year. So I'm thinking that maybe Tom Cruise got on other... Oh, you know what it was? After Mission Impossible 2, he started working with Spielberg.
Oh, okay.
He started doing all the Spielberg movies, like, what was it? Minority Report.
Oh, yeah.
I think he did something else with Spielberg as well, didn't he? So yeah, he was busy. He was busy doing other summer.
Who did the one where he kept dying over and over again?
That wasn't Spielberg.
Blunt.
That's an excellent Tom Cruise movie, though.
It is.
It was done after Mission Impossible 3.
I heard talk about them wanting to do a sequel.
They could, but they got to make it good, because that first one is. I don't. You don't often say great science fiction movie. That was a great science fiction movie. Was Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow. Yeah. That was Emily Blunt's in that too. I liked her in that as well. Yeah,
and I'd love to see her as the Invisible Girl, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Do you know what Retro Blasting says on Mission Impossible 2, Troy?
No, what?
I don't know, but Ear of the Worlds, is that what he said? I don't.
Even if he, I'm sure I must have seen his video, but it didn't stick with me because I haven't seen these Mission Impossible films, so I have no, frame of reference for them.
It's weird because there's like, before they had Simon Pegg in that, there's like a Benji stand-in in that movie, like a
Simon Pegg is in these movies?
Starting in part 3, yeah. You don't like Simon Pegg?
I love Simon Pegg in, movies, where he's front and center, and it's his movie, like Shaun of the Dead and End of the World and all that kind of stuff. Did not care for him as well.
Scotty.
Kind of not his fault, but blame Big Dave.
Here's why Simon Pegg worked in Mission Impossible, especially in Ghost Protocol. Seeing him bounce off of Tom Cruise, because these are two men that are not alike.
Gotcha.
They're very different. So seeing them have to work together in these scenes, like, I think he's horrified at the beginning of the 4th Mission Impossible. He says, I've been cleared for field duties. Like, what? Because he was originally like the nerdy tech guy in the background, being like the Q type character.
Sure.
How he's part of the team. But he's been funny. He lends some good comic relief to these movies while still holding his own on the team. I mean, not as good as like a Tom, but he's smart. But I don't know. Doug Lyman at Edge of Tomorrow.
All of this because of these strikes, and it's not only affecting the film's release dates, But we got some weird stuff going on that's affecting the actors.
We do have a Halloween-related article tonight.
Yeah,
that's good because I kind of felt like I didn't do a lot of spooky stuff this year, though I do love horror movies.
Wrap it up.
Yeah. So I'll do Winnie the Pooh Love and Honey 2 article next week. I'm sorry, I don't know if that's happening. Actually, we did do a Love and Honey article this month. It was about the high school, the school teacher, the kids.
Whoops, whoopsie.
The bizarre rule make. Okay, yeah. So here is the article. The bizarre rule that makes Jenna. That means Jenny. Jenna. Is it Jenna Ortega? Am I calling her Jenny?
Jenna Ortega.
Sorry. Yeah. Jenna Ortega can't appear as Wednesday Addams this Halloween. Following the success of Tim Burton's smash hit Wednesday on Netflix in 2022, Jenna Ortega became an overnight global sensation. I would argue she became one in the Scream, the new Scream movies, but whatever. Ortega's portrayal of Wednesday Addams exhibited her range as an actress, successfully showcasing the macabre character's dark humor and unique personality. Directed by filmmaking legend Tim Burton, the show's first season not only showcased 21-year-old Jenna's acting talent, but also introduced her to a wider audience, cementing her status as a rising star in the industry. In January, it was revealed that Netflix confirmed a renewal for a second season of Wednesday, which will see Ortega appear once more in her iconic pigtails and black attire. But while the costume department gets to work on Wednesday Addams' next looks, it appears that
a friggin' editor, you morons.
I think they have to be editor and writer in one these days. Okay, it appears that Jenna has been prevented from dressing up as her character off screen. Amidst the ongoing SAG-AFTRA strike, the new rule has been released that will keep Jenna from being Wednesday Addams until the strikes come to an end, even when it comes to Halloween costumes. In July, the Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Radio and Television Artists, SAG-AFTRA, decided to stand in solidarity with the Writers Guild of America, which has been striking since May after negotiation with studios fell apart. Hollywood has experienced its first dual stoppage in 63 years, halting productions across the industry and costing the economy billions of dollars. Well, what's a few billion here and there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The industrial action has threatened to decimate the entertainment industry as production of major films and television shows grind to a halt. And I think you mean destroy, not decimate, but
whatever.
Okay. Decimate is like destroy everything but a tenth, I think. Maybe that's what I don't know. It's okay. Never mind. It's a weird word that people use to mean destroy, but that's not its exact meaning. But
well, but it is important. It comes from the concept. You're right of a tenth being left. But the important point about decimate and where the shade of meaning is absolute is it doesn't completely destroy it. It hurts it so badly that it's almost destroyed. There's something left. And it may not be able to continue because it's so badly destroyed.
So maybe in this context, the word is correct. Okay. SAG-AFTRA has now issued guidelines on Halloween costumes for actors as the strikes continue. The union has shared that no members are to dress as characters, which would go against strike guidelines. It shares that members may dress up as characters from productions unable to strike, such as some animated TV shows, and they should choose costumes that are inspired by generalized characters and figures. In addition, SAG-AFTRA told its members not to post photos of costumes on social media that are inspired by struck content. This means that participating stars of writers behind many of the popular productions Wednesday, Stranger Things, The Last of Us are to engage in strike-friendly Halloween celebration this summer, according to the Hollywood Reporter. The Guild sent further clarification behind the rules. SAG-AFTRA issued Halloween guidance in response to questions from content creators and members about how to support the strike during this festive season. This was meant to help them avoid promoting struck work and is the latest in a series of guidelines we have issued. It does not apply to anyone's kids. We are on strike for important reasons and have been for nearly 100 days. So it's not just like that she can't dress up as Wednesday Addams. She wouldn't be able to dress up as, another prominent female character. I say Black Widow, but she got killed off. But, along those lines, right?
Well, it kind of makes me wonder.
She couldn't be 11 from Stranger Things. Okay, she couldn't be that.
That's kind of ridiculous. And
I know it's ridiculous. I'm just throwing things at the wall.
But yes, I could see it being perceived as promoting something that's currently. So in other words, I would argue if Wednesday Addams, or what is it? What's the name of the show? Addams Family?
Wednesday is the name of the show.
Wednesday. It's called Wednesday. If Wednesday hadn't been picked up for a second season, then there's nothing to promote. So they'd have nothing to say about it, right? That's how I'm taking this.
So if it's an older show, so could someone be a Munsters character? Unless there's another Munsters movie in the pipeline.
Which there absolutely is not. Rob Zombie pretty much screwed the pooch on that one. But let me tell you, here's my take on this. I'm going to be as generous as possible and say that I get where they're coming from. It could be construed as marketing. If you are playing a prominent character and you go out in public, wearing that costume, you are tacitly promoting the show.
So you can't be Captain Kirk.
If you're yeah, sure. Okay. However, I'm sorry, work can't tell you what you can and can't do in your private life. And if you are going to a private party, Halloween party, she sure as hell can,
They're worried about paparazzi flashing pictures.
That's just too damn bad. It was a private event, none of anybody's business. You cannot construe this as me promoting the show.
That some actor somewhere is going to violate this by accident.
Exactly. And unfortunately, what they're probably going to do is go, oh, I'm so sorry, and throw themselves at the feet of their socialist masters instead of saying, you know what, I'm sorry. Screw you. This was a private party. I was dressed in the costume I chose. I was not promoting anything. You don't like it? Sanction me. Don't give a crap.
This comes after Ryan Reynolds and Mandy Moore spoke out against the new SAG-AFTRA warnings about the strike-friendly Halloweens this week. Responding to the advice, Ryan, 46, joked on X, formerly Twitter, I look forward to screaming scab at my 8-year-old all night. She's not in the union, but she needs to learn.
Great joke. Yes. And it's satire like that kind of drives home how stupid this stuff is.
Yes. So I hope this strike ends soon because Lord knows what rules they're going to have in for Christmas coming up.
Yeah. Well,
there's several Christmas productions coming up. Don't any of you be Santa Claus. I mean,
I totally agree with what you're saying, man. I kind of hit on that. It's like, yes, to the extent that it is promotion, absolutely. When it goes beyond that, screw you. You don't own me. You don't own my private life.
What costume could you be? I guess you could be Nosferatu, right? From the silent movie. That's public.
I mean, that's even assuming that she wants to dress up for Halloween and do something. I mean,
I don't know. I'll be curious to see what costume she does choose. I guess we'll find out
if she does a costume. Yeah, I don't think it's so much about her. I think this is more, hypothetically,
They didn't like her when she said that thing about how she was redoing lines the writers wrote for Wednesday.
Because these writers suck.
She said it didn't make sense for the characters.
She's not even a writer, and she's doing a better job than they are. No wonder they're concerned about AI.
All right.
You can blame Fran Drescher all you want. These people have no talent. That's why they're going to end up losing their jobs ultimately. All right. What's going on later tonight? 45 minutes from now, yes. I want you back at your computers or whatever device you're watching.
25 minutes.
I said 45 minutes.
40, well, whatever.
For deleted scenes, the other side of midnight, assuming he's still awake, he's going to be having a guest tonight in Big Al. I know Big Al was here earlier. He may have, nodded off, taking a nap. I hope deleted scenes, you got his phone number so you can ring him up and say, hey, wake up. It's time to after midnight. Go let it all hang out.
Excuse me.
As far as I know, there's nothing else going on until Tuesday. First thing on Tuesday, Netter and I are going to be on Pacific 414's channel for their Halloween night special. That's at 5 Central, 6 Eastern. You said you can't make it, right, Boomer? Because you work too late to be able to make it.
Yeah, I think so. I may not. Why, is there an extending invitation?
Let me double check with him, but he had originally said he wanted you to, so. I'll ask him if he hasn't overbooked.
Let me check on that. All right.
Okay. Let me know as soon as possible, and then I'll just make sure that he's not overbooked, and we'll get
sure thing. Oh wait, no, this Tuesday, no. I'm sorry.
Okay. No problem. Okay. It's. I think that we must have covered that previously.
We did. Yeah. It depends on the Tuesday, but this one, yeah, this is because of the Halloween.
But so yeah, and we'll hang out with him for maybe a couple of hours or so, but then we got to get over to Deleted Scenes channel again for live from Sparkwood 21, where we will be watching the second episode of Twin Peaks, Zen or the Skill to Catch a Killer.
Really?
And it will be a rewatch, so I will be providing you the Cosme link so that you can watch along with us.
Is that the name of the episode?
Yes, it is.
It's like Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. Okay. That's a weird book if you've ever not read that book. Okay.
Well, at first I thought it was weird, but as I started to think about it, I was like, okay, I can kind of see that.
It's a book. You can read it. It's weird. It's weird. It's like philosophy and motorcycle maintenance.
I'm sorry, Samuel Proctor. We'd moved on. That's why I didn't comment on it. But yes, I do need to watch the Mission Impossible things, and yeah, I'll revisit what Michael has to say about it. But
I like to. I don't care. Anyway,
but then Thursday, Netter's Network with Tom Conkle. She doesn't have the stream up yet because her graphic arts department is lazy a bastard who hasn't gotten her thumbnail yet. So, but we'll get that up and running. But she will be having Tom Conkle to talk about a follow up to the Indiegogo. Of For Island in the Stars, and find out next steps and how we can continue to support the project for a new independent sci-fi film, because we're getting sick and tired of the crap that's coming from Hollywood that's on strike because they have talentless hacks. So there's that. And by the same token, Friday night on my channel, Last Call, 9 Central, 10 Eastern, unless I come up with a topic, it's going to be another Friday night free-for-all, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I'll be there. I hope you guys can make it too. And that's why the stream isn't up for that one yet either, because I haven't decided yet specifically what the topic's going to be. And that brings us around to Saturday. Speaking of Big Al, of Big Al Presents, it's his week this week, and we will be watching over on his channel, Yours, Mine, and Ours, from 1968, Henry Fonda and Lucille Ball.
Oh, yes, classic.
Yes, it is. So that will be a lot of fun. And again, Cosme link, which will be provided, so you can watch along with us if you don't have your own copy. And that is the week in review, my friends.
Sounds like a plan. So y'all have a good night. Have a happy and safe Halloween. Watch out for those lesbian vampires. And
Kathleen Kennedy hiding under your bed.
And Kathleen Kennedy hiding under your bed. But have a happy Halloween. And catch me on Tuesday on Deleted Seeds channel. I'll be there with Troy Pacelli. And Troy Pacelli will be all over the place during the week. And
yep.
Be sure to subscribe to Pacifica 414. Oh, I forgot to do these things. Sorry. Big Al.
Yes.
Netter's Thursday things with Tom Conkle. Yes, and there we go. And Friday, Last Call, Troy Pacelli. We don't know what we're doing yet, but I guess we'll find out, won't we?
Yep. And you go ahead and open that tab that I just shared with you, because that's where we're going to be in about 35 minutes.
All right. Y'all have a good night. And as the Deleted Scene says, good night. Take care. Stay strong. This is how we win.
This is how we win. Take care. Right.